Was
What's
Gucci,
good,
bro?
G?
My God, long time no see. I like the shirt.
It's been a minute. Yeah, had to pull out the Apex shirt. Try to
Let me
find
know.
try to find the best angle where the sun's
Oh,
not.
that shit looks fresh right there, though, G.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you hopping on. This has to happen, and just to let you know, full disclosure, it's being recorded right now.
It said recording in process once I hopped on.
Awesome. Yeah, this is obviously weird timing. Energies are weird, but I'm really happy that at least we can go ahead and call a team chat so that we can develop our first kind of proposal.
Exactly.
That's really all it is. And what do you think, man? Coming back from the event, what do you think? What was your takeaway? XT Crystals brought the A game. I heard some big things happen.
Yeah, so it was exciting. It was a
Yeah,
once in a lifetime opportunity to be at Apex and to be able to represent Health Bank and XT Crystals. And it
completely.
was just amazing getting to meet the Ripple team and making connections that with people that have similar visions that want to help the world.
That part. It really has seemed over these last few days that maybe we were never wrong in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Like our heart, our way of operating, like these people are out there. It's just that you got to speak their language, and their language is solutions, right? Like these people, the people that run these companies, they look for solutions to big multi-million dollar problems. So that's where Health Bank DAO, in my opinion, I think stands to really help. Should we be able to kind of create a clear path forward, and it kind of brings up they were talking about something about exit strategy, but I look at it more like what is our partnership approach?
Yeah, I
What do
see
you
it
think
more
about
as
the
like,
details we're going to discuss? Can you, yeah, tell me.
yeah, so we definitely have to have a strategy, not an exit strategy, but definitely
That's
we
what we
need
brought up in the group.
procedures in place.
Thank you.
We need
Procedures and
procedures.
roles.
Exactly. Whenever the roles are not set and clear, it's hard to delegate.
Frequency of communication, all those things, rules, responsibilities, communication strategies, all these things, what platforms we engage on. Like this is now the reason why, you know, projects are built in two ways. The people do it for themselves, or they have to find an investor to help them. And to get to the place where we're going to go and not lose ownership in the sense of the culture, not how it's created, because the entity doesn't exist. The moment we decide on roles, delegation, the entity can be born. I need you guys to understand this. There is no entity. There is no health bank. There is no bank account. There is no entity that is registered under anything called health bank. Because to do that without an operations manual, a delegation system, would be irresponsible, in my opinion. Right? It's not to say, oh, it's mine. Fuck that. It's not mine. It's yours. I've told you guys that. And that's the whole point. Like you literally took the torch, bro, and you ran it to Mount Olympus and you screamed at the top of your lungs and you convinced everybody at Ripple to go ahead and open up their eyes at what could potentially be in store for them if they joined what we're doing. To me, without you being able to trust that a verification system being based upon the integrity of the person's score of completion in a fitness challenge, I mean, this is game changing stuff in my mind. But when you validated it, now I have the responsibility to say, great, I'm going to go build it. It's yours. You go scream at the top because I'm going to make sure that if it improves for the next time, you go tell everybody. And you've done that, bro. And literally, you came in with so much more. And now that we're here at this point of how do we go ahead and from your perspective, where this thing has gone, how many lives it's touched, how many ears it's reached, how many people are standing, to make this happen with us. What do you think? And I'm just going to shut up because I got to play the role of now I'm just a person on the computer trying to make things happen. Like I said, a lot of this really falls on you because you were there with the people, you made the connections. What do we do from here? How do you want to take today's meeting?
So We definitely have to go into the next week. I know we're about to start our health challenge, which is great. We need to keep that momentum, but we can't. I think it'll be irresponsible to not capitalize on reaching back out to these people we've connected to. Thank them for listening to us and see if maybe we can schedule something so we can talk more. And while it's still fresh on their mind, I think we definitely need to reach out and to people like Brian Dawson, the partner relations, to Naps, the patent lawyer. There's so many people that can really help bring this to the next level and get us established to the point we need to be, because we have a message that anybody can resonate, which is health. That connects all.
And that's been the mission, it's like, how do we stop the bullshit? It's not about this color, it's not about this pocket size, it's not about how tall you are, it's not about how many degrees you have. It's a matter of, if on code you had 60 days, can you do it? Yes or no? And that access token, it's everything. And so the mechanism, I don't know if you'll be able to hear it, but I'm going to play it out for you, and I think it'll explain things very, very well. And I hope, I'm playing it on my computer at the moment. I'm finalizing it, and I have to send this. I wasn't expecting this, but here we go.
Hello, everyone. We are soon to begin this fitness challenge, but first you need to create your profile on the web.
Can you hear it?
I can hear it.
Okay, great. I'm going to play it back. I'm sorry about that.
Two applications that we are looking to innovate and combine along with blockchain technology. This is why your feedback is important. Let's work together to create a brand new decentralized fitness application that will help us grow a decentralized healthcare fund that is managed by those who deserve the right to govern it. In a few months, our application will allow users to connect their wallet, lock up their value, and earn health rewards NFTs based upon their efforts. Once you have completed the health challenge with at least 80% completion, you will be able to head over to the Health Bank DAO website and stake it to obtain the governance token of the ecosystem health. Your effort determines your daily health yield. Are you ready to get started?
Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, I like it.
That way it just gives everybody the idea of why they're getting started and how they're getting started. So, this leads us to two things. Once the message is out there, I got to get it out to them. If they're not going to go ahead and hop on, so this puts us in a predicament, So here's the way I see it. Health Bank is a concept that can only be brought to life if three pieces are aligned. These three pieces requires an entry mechanism, a marketplace of exchange, and a loans based upon NFTs. Correct? It's a DeFi platform.
Correct.
So Health Bank at the root requires the three parties to be able to go ahead and carry out a certain amount of responsibility. Looking at it from that angle, have we worked at improving the health challenge mechanism? Well, we're about to start the health challenge tomorrow with 113 people. Little things to finish up. By starting, I mean all people that are required. Our goal tomorrow, we win tomorrow. Let me tell. Yep. Yes. Long overdue. Yes. Come on. Let's go. Get on.
There you go.
I'm here.
Yes.
Where's my video? There it is.
There we go.
Good timing. I just got home.
My God. I know you're busy, man. How's he doing?
Pretty good. Have a hole in my foot from some kind of thing I stepped on, but I don't know what it is.
Oh, shit.
Go through your foot or in the boot only?
It's just in my toe fat, like the whatever this part would be called. It's like just stuck there, right there, Just a splinter or something small. I've been picking at it for a couple hours.
Typical daily activities, I would imagine, for you right now.
Yeah, it's that retrograde.
Are you going between house to the office?
I just got back from my dad's house to my house.
Oh, so you found that thing.
How's he doing?
Yeah, he's the same.
I gotta say, man, I missed you and I wish you could have came out. Like seriously, bro. We needed you there. Like it's
I
like
need
a
to be
table
there.
without its third leg, bro.
I know. I
But
need to be there.
that was such a spontaneous thing. We need to really plan ahead, you know?
Yeah. I need to
And
get my dad like full-time help. Like that's the only reason I have to stay. Like I can't get anyone else to help for me. It's
well,
like,
you got your homies that are supposed to have your back, and that's why we're trying to build this. Like, how could we
yeah,
unite certain bridges? As you say, what's the bartering system? What's the trading system that should be able to connect the dots until what do you
it's
need
just
to take
I
care of it?
need what I need is like to be his like custodian so that I can just make it happen because it's his choice. Like he has to just say yes, I want full time. He's just so stubborn and so he wants to be self-sufficient, but he can't be. And so I like literally all I do is I go there and I make him some food real quick. Like that's all I have to do because he just can't carry it to the from the
At least he allows that from you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know it
yeah,
kind of sounds wrong, but it's kind of like at least he's allowing you to really play that role in his life somehow still. And
yeah.
maybe, you know, the foods. I'm just sharing what I have out here. Maybe that could save you time. Maybe you could use it. Is there meal prep companies that you could just basically order that basically will deliver you weeks ahead, and then he would just have to kind of like microwave it?
He can't get his food back and forth is the problem. Like when he walks, he has to use his walker or he flops basically his legs shut off. And so like he can't even take his coffee or anything. Like I have to go give him refills during the day and stuff. I mean, it's like
Do you see it more as a like it's taking up the time, or do you just feel like it's just taking your energy away, so it's like hard to refocus on the next project?
time, like energy's like always on. Like I have endless energy until
I was
about
gonna say, bro, you're a go-getter. Like it don't stop, and that's what I'm saying. Like ultimately, like I don't want to say somebody else should do it because obviously I respect how cool it is that you're trying to do it. Like,
now
man,
someone doing this like legit. Like I want
you
to
have a
hang out
brother?
for like like actual time with them instead of just like here's your meal. I gotta go feed the
Right.
kids. Like it's not as like, real.
You're kind of changing the world.
Yeah.
So it's
He's that I get to talk to him every day. He likes hearing my updates, so that's cool.
oh
He doesn't understand it, but he likes that I'm doing something.
nah, but that's it. I was just gonna say, is he coherent enough to at least be able to retain the information for the next conversation?
um like to some extent, like he sees that I've done something that had made whatever nonsense I just said more nonsense. Is kind of how he's old school. He's like 70.
Actually, you know what? Okay, I know we probably shouldn't be talking about this in blank, but that's what I think causes a lot of this confusion. The names of the things,
Oh yeah.
and it's not ever on an artist fault. It's like, yo, I love what you're doing, and this is the whole point of creativity. Now it's just a matter of can we keep up, and I think that that's kind of where it was very clear to me over these past few hours that this whole thing has been. We cannot keep up with your creativity.
Yeah, I'm making a lot more
What do
graphs
you
for
what do you think, Harley? Would you agree that that's a fair statement?
I think, well, from an outsider's perspective, I can see that. I've been along for the journey and I can keep up with like 90% of what you're doing, but still, I got a lot going on myself. So I have a hard time keeping up. And also, I'm familiar with kind of the concepts. Somebody that's not familiar, it may be confusing. I could see where there could be that barrier of understanding.
All I knew was how do I support right away? That was my point.
That part.
And I want to keep it 100 with you, bro. I was like, how do I support right away? So I grabbed my shit and I'm like, okay, I'm in. I got to go back to building this so that way you can come. I mean, I can go back and say, I'm going to get a loan on my sea monkeys, right?
yeah.
Like that's the
Yeah.
whole point here.
Yeah, that one's easy. That one's a basic standalone. That one's just kind of just waiting for, time kind of thing. The rest of it, the Zodiomps are around too. I don't know. I mean, like Damien brought up some interesting points with it, how it's dead, like that kind of stuff. And to me, I mean, I think he just sees it as dead. I don't think it's dead. I think people are waiting responsibly, like I told them to wait, because I don't think everyone should FOMO something, because I don't even know if XDC is going to make it work right. They say they will, and they're pretty reputable. as far as demo finance and their devs. So
I trust that they're building, bro. That's why when
yeah,
you said it, I'm like, yo, that's hella cool. When's it coming out? Because my interest is with the shit. Maybe there is a way we could trust these guys, because that's really what you were, the risk that you were jumping into before anybody by doing everything that you've been doing.
yeah. October is when it's supposed to be done. And then that should open up all the staking for all the NFTs that want to stake their tokens. They're going to do layered staking too, so you can have like multiple pools go into the same NFT.
So while you've been pursuing that journey of how do we make an idea happen by vetting out development teams, is that kind of what I'm understanding?
It's absolutely and 100% what I'm doing with every alliance is they are some form of development and an aspect that I need to learn about.
Yes.
And the tool is either XDC. I don't know how their staking is going to be, if it's self custody or you have to put it in a wallet, like, you know, like escrow wallet type of staking wallet. But like everyone else is self custody kind of stuff, which is what I'm going for. Cause like, I don't really like the exchanges. I don't like losing custody of stuff. And like, you know, like you want to be able to liquidate your stuff right away. So like, that's kind of what I'm shooting for is like, do they fall into those categories? And if something changes with like, say a partner or not a partner, but an ally, if they're like suddenly just like scammy, I can leave them right away. And I'm not afraid to just be like, these people just did that. I'm not like, you know, so I protect everyone I can that way. And yeah, it's mostly just functions. And like cool contexts that are related to health. Like that's another thing is like everybody is in some form into mental or some type of physical health. Like that's a really cool aspect. Or they want to help their communities. That's another thing. Like Magical Finance is trying to like build their town and like the markets up for their like foods and stuff because they have fish markets that are like starting to go bad and because it's just hard to get money back around there. So it's like that's kind of where I'm going with that. But yeah, there's nothing that's like I guess you could say like high risk or I mean the biggest risk I'd say is like do you like that project or not? And if you don't like it, I'd love to know what people don't like about projects because I vet them as much as I can and I get deep. Like I'll talk to these people for like 12 hours solid, just like, friend, what do you like and like how are you? And then that's kind of what I do. And then if they're good people on top of having a project that has some kind of potential that's awesome, then that's kind of where I go from it.
So I guess that really brings it to because you see, it seems like you speak of yourself in a certain way where there's these things that you do versus kind of like who you are. And to me, who I am is based upon what I do. And
Mhm.
so what I'm saying here is I understand that there's a responsibility to feed your family, take care of those things. That's number one. Of course. I believe from the way that you were speaking, there was this tone that I just want to address. So how do you work on partnerships? Because to this point, and you weren't here on board yet, Health Bank does not exist as a legal entity. What does exist is BYOB.
Mhm.
So the whole point of maybe this meeting being brought together is like, how should we structure a partnership if a partnership should happen so that there can be a legal entity so that that way we can possibly discuss what would be some type of responsibilities,
Yeah.
contributions, all those type. You got to see what I'm saying? Because maybe that's
Yeah.
kind of where all, because it's totally responsible of all of us to talk about this. So
Yeah.
I would love to hear you guys' thoughts.
Here's how I do it with contracting. Like I try to base everything about how I ran that business because that was a huge like kind of ordeal, not ordeal, but you know, like there's a lot of moving parts with contracting house remodels. So I had what would be considered guild people and then what would be considered subcontractors. So subcontractors you write a contract with, guilds are more like verbal and just kind of you can come in and out. There's not really a like a contractual binding, but there's agreements. And so those agreements don't have to be like you can be reprimanded for if you didn't come to work that day versus a subcontractor who didn't come to work that day. I'm not going to pay them for that day. So in the same essence, I would say alliances versus partnerships are the same because an alliance is like we can help each other. We're not bonded to each other in any way besides just our actual bond. And then partnerships are people that are actually contributing. They have responsibilities they have to meet, or else they just totally are out, kind of thing. Or, unless they have a legitimate reason that everyone agrees upon. But I think it's more contractual. And I have zero actual contractual partnerships. Everyone's an alliance for me so far. This seems like both ways are safe, as long as, you have somebody that's really worth partnering all the way with. Like Health Bank would be someone I would legit sign a contract with, and then versus like StakeX, who's just an alliance who I use their platform. So it's a little bit different, if that makes any sense to you. Is that kind of what you asked?
I love the way you said it. I just don't want to be the first to speak. Do you have any thoughts, Harley?
Yeah, so I like differentiating between partnerships and alliance. I think there needs to definitely be that line drawn and agreed upon from all parties. But yeah,
This is what the thing that's going to change the space. And that's what I need people to understand, because this is why I trusted Tyler in the first place. I know he comes from the same background as me, and we are both, and this is why I told you, Harley, do your LLC, right? Like the most important, and I need you guys, because I love you both like brothers. Like this is no favoritism anywhere. Like I am just like, we are changing the way the world sees the real world, relationships, partnerships, organizations, ideas come into life. And the more that we can kind of document this, the better. Tyler brings up a great point, because this is not a bad thing. I simply was, prior for you getting on the call, we were discussing how it was brought up in the group, right? Because he mentioned, it was mentioned about exit strategy. And I said, it's not about exit strategy. It's about how do we make partnerships work, right?
Yeah.
Because I look at you as your own empire, your own corporate entity, like you, and you're the man that knows that, which is why I keep trying to go ahead and keep that very present in my mind and everybody's mind, that as a businessman, you are legally protecting your family by doing certain things, and you've done those. And I love it. Everybody should follow. So the next thing where I'm going to say where there's a point is because Damien, right? I wish he can get on a little bit sooner, has a perception.
Yeah.
And a perception is outside the internal discussions of what is going to make this possible. But he's a very, very close Harley. This comes to you. Is he an ally or is he a partner of yours?
Well, whenever I made the tokenomics for XD crystals, I went ahead and specifically put it.
Time out. And I hate to interrupt you, but to put some over there, it goes back to what you envisioned doing. But what was the word, the bond, or what was stated between Damien and yourself, or this thing? Because that's kind of what we're looking at. Is it contractual or is it bond?
Is it?
Do you kind of see what we're saying? Or did we lose him?
I don't know. You there, buddy?
Talk about technology coming in at the wrong time, bro.
Right?
Holy cow. Hey, I love that point, man. And thank you, because, this is the whole point. We're grown men trying to help our families be able to succeed. But at the same time, there's got to be a certain kind of discussion. It took us a while to get here. And there's absolutely nothing more necessary than this, because as this all changes, regardless of how it's done. Harley, you there yet? Cool. Number one, I totally agree with everything you're saying, but that's why it's like, what should we do? Because a conversation like this really allows us to put things on the table, as in, because of the empire you built, what can we really do now to change the world, right?
Right.
And that's the most important thing. And I've been behind the Tyler empire. That's why I said, it's like, well, what will it take? We do certain things, you're doing certain things, everything should work out. So now it's a matter of either A, what can we provide everybody outside of our three, you know, how we have these three people conversations? How do we
Yeah.
make that a little bit more clear to the outsiders because it's demanded of us now? Not because there's any issues, it's just like they're questioning how we operate.
Right, exactly.
Can you help me out? How do you think we should handle this? And I'm gonna grab my charger if you don't mind.
Well, I would say the first thing that we should make sure of is that, like Damien's example, he didn't research at me at all first before he asked all these questions. And he spent a lot of time asking questions that weren't like relevant or in any accurate kind of manner. So it was really confusing to kind of talk to him in the first place because it was like I was being asked all these questions. Like, for example, how many bibliomps did I sell? Like, that's not even a question you could ask yet because I haven't sold bibliomps, if that makes sense. I don't know
Yeah.
if you heard any of that.
It does make sense. I did hear it and it makes perfect sense.
So, like, to me, I mean, I'm going to look into whoever's working with us as much as possible so that I can ask them clear questions. I think that's kind of like important as a person in a DAO that's this like tight. So I was kind of like, I didn't want to say it publicly, but I'm like, man, that's kind of worrisome that he didn't really give me the time or give himself the time to research what he was going to like, you know, essentially complain a lot about. But otherwise, like being clear, I'm really clear about my videos. Like, I don't know if you watched the whole Alt Kings video, but I try to lay it out as linearly and clearly as possible. So like the only other thing I could say is like just one-on-one conversations with people to ask me questions if they don't have the time to actually go in and look at all that stuff. And I'm trying to make more clarity on charts, like on the page. The Whitepaper helped a lot. I know like I've gotten phenomenal like feedback on that.
Did you get that fixed up?
Which part?
I think you sent me the IPFS one, right? But,
yeah.
When I honestly, we were at the hotel, it didn't go through. So we just got
It's just
literally
load
on my desk.
When you upload to IPFS and it's a new file, it takes forever to load for a few times and then it speeds up.
And
but
trust me, not at the hotel. That was shitty ass Wi-Fi.
Oh man, so many devs stealing Wi-Fi right there. But
well, that's the thing, you know, and that's why we were saying, like, you know, to us, we are all just foreigners to this whole blockchain from the outside of the, like, you know, we were all just new to this concept of building. We invested, we're new to building. So like every experience, every perspective is really good because that's why there is no entity that is legally there with a bank account that is governed. All we really have is that treasury, the multi-signature wallet that we put together that basically says, hey, look, we believe in this.
Yeah.
Right? Do you guys remember that?
Oh yeah.
To me, that was dope. It was one of the greatest days. It's like, oh, 3 men are gonna go work on some shit that's really hard to fucking build.
Exactly.
So to me, that's what I go back to. Okay, what really represents this unity and the Trinity, right? Because this is the most beautiful thing about it all, is the Trinity of brotherhood that tries to change a world problem through personal development. And in that development, there is a personal empire that is built to protect theirs under whatever means. Is that what we agree on?
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's totally exactly right.
Because if that's the case, then right above that is Health Bank Health's challenge that you both believed in from day one when I explained it to you. And then we said, well, there's got a growth from it, right?
Yeah.
And then the next logical thing Tyler said was NFTs and loans to get a master node. And then boom. Right. So in my perspective, and I'm going to speak here because I like, here's how I know to love you. And I remember the story. It's like the genesis of like our transformations. It's like, because we discussed it, right? I had a fitness business. It was a fitness business that's how I used to earn my income to feed my family. I had my gym, and if I wanted to transition, I had to do something. I went online, ran a health challenge where we paid people to work out. So I invested in XDC and I gave it back to them. That's how we all met. But the thing is, it's not an entity. It was an experience. The experience brought us together because the concept could change the world. But imagine the moment, literally, Tyler felt so strongly about it. He's like, yo, I'm gonna make NFTs and we're gonna create loans. And because we live so true in the future, we both took action.
Yeah.
He's gonna go raise these 10 million XDC in the middle of the craziest time to go make it happen. And then what we had to do was guarantee that there could be a loans application to help him out with it in the future. But regardless of the cost, he was going to make it happen because he started the journey and had to finish it. Is that true?
100%.
So to me, I love what you're doing. I think that this journey has evolved to become a journey of how do we as men help the world understand how to vet out development teams, because they have to take their ideas to the next level. Where can they go to create their ideas? And how can we independently become our own businesses that then have so much profit that we allocate parts of those profits to the healthcare treasury? Is that kind of where we're going with this?
Yeah.
A donation, 501c3. I'm sorry, 501c3.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's totally like the biggest, like that's another thing is like my financial like structure of Bibliomp is really like from, it's not even begun yet because like I have to build it still. That's the other thing is like I don't think a lot of people are seeing that are outside is they don't see that it's like I'm doing it in a backwards way because like the game's for the community. It's not for me. I don't even care about games. Like I actually hate video games. I don't hate them. I mean, I don't play them. Like, so it's like I want to build something for other people that like it. I started with a character. We're going to use the character, but other than that, like it's the whole thing's basically built around the community that wants to build it. So it's like there's no funding yet. I mean, there's like some funding to keep it going, to keep my office lease paid and equipment and shit. But like the actual game is what's going to be the actual like income. That's going to be sales like crazy and merchandise. And I guess I could make that more clear, I suppose. Like
no. That model is clean. I've understood it from day one. It's the in-marketplace purchases that's going to generate the revenue.
Yeah.
You just had to build the world.
Exactly.
I trust me. I understood what happens. And I think that this is kind of where I stand. And thank you for being so clear on all these things because I fucking love it. Like I said, it's about the outsider's perception.
Yeah.
As we now take this next step. And Harley, would you agree that it's been kind of this thing where like Bibliomps took off? You and I were still in the old world. We didn't start a Web3 business meant to be on Web3, right? Like I had a gym and it could evolve. I had services, it could evolve. And that's what it will do because I'm gonna be the athlete that gets loans for my gyms through the whole thing. Like I'm gonna open up my own gyms and then use Health Bank to get a loan for my effort by the impact, the number of the people that I help. Like, I mean, this is easy. Now, this is the whole point of why there's a person, me. Now there's another one, Sammy. He wants to open up his gym. Do you guys see how like there's a dream? We created the solution, Health Bank. But in order to get there, we had to make sure that there was massive businesses, meaning 3, because this is a table. And Tyler made sure his was abundantly wealthy by creating a metaverse game that has an in-game purchasing marketplace that pays in crypto. Are we on the same page?
Yeah.
And so much more, of course, but
yeah, dude. And like the metaverse, it's like basically like actual, like it's like my world of all my alliances are going to be in that world. With here's the cool thing is portals to their metaverse or their ecosystem if they don't have a metaverse. So like you'll be able to go and log out of mine and go log into theirs.
Yep.
Like that's fucking priceless. Yeah.
I love it.
I mean, like it's totally new. And here's, I don't know if I told you much about this. The gaming alliance, the XRPL gaming alliance. Did I tell you about that?
Thing, right?
Yeah. So Quarter Onion is like they like kind of one of the founders with Treasury and a couple others. And everyone kept telling me to approach them from the beginning. Like, and I just put it off forever. And a couple weeks, like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, finally messaged them. And I thought, let's make a game that's all these NFT projects and all these crypto projects that have a mascot. And we build this game on XRPL that showcases what you can do with crypto and video games. And like that not only that, but it gives NFT projects that don't have utility something to do outside of their their like, their art
Straight
ecosystems.
up. And you create utility for everybody.
And not only did he like it, I'm the coordinator of the whole project now. So
Oh.
like I've got that under my belt.
Well, I wouldn't say under your belt. It's just definitely another load on your back. I would say
That's
before,
what I meant to say.
before we put
Analogies,
it on the
man.
belt, let's put it on the back.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of where this conversation goes, though, because we all carry a lot of weight on our back, and it's maybe good to just kind of put the backpack down for a second and at least catch up, because we've been climbing our mountains, but we're still going to the same place.
That was actually my next point, was by doing this, it gave me access to all the game devs I need. So like, I don't actually need to have the weight of development for the Bibliomp ecosystem anymore. I've got access to all of this stuff.
And in gaming is such a different angle, you know?
Yeah.
That is exactly the... Go ahead.
Oh, I say, and that's probably another weird angle for other people that aren't into gaming, but they're into crypto. They're like, what? This is goofy. But like, you got to look at the gaming industry is gigantic. Like Rockstar Games is fucking one of the most wealthy game companies in the world. And they make a game where you just walk around shooting people for free. You don't get paid to do it.
I totally agree.
So like, it's in a way, it's untapped still by how freaking giant it is, and like not really big. Plus, the other cool thing is the Gaming Alliance is not really like a gaming specific project, but more like a gaming lobbyist project where they want to get into like other gaming networks, like what's that one? Steam. Like we're trying to lobby Steam into adopting blockchain. Yeah, like that computer game company.
Gotcha. I'm sorry. I guess I had it on the brain from this weekend. But what you're saying is so true, bro. And this is why I'm saying, what is the right way to do something that hasn't been done before? By the way, Nani just asked to join, and I'm gonna let you guys know I just admitted her. I should have probably asked you guys, my bad. But I'm so happy to have her on board. Tyler, would you be able to catch her up, or Harley, would you want to do it?
Either way is fine.
Harley, do you feel like you kind of got a good grip on it?
Yeah. So how's it going, Nani?
Let's catch you.
Okay.
See you. Can we catch you up to speed, or should we continue?
I do apologize. It's so early in the morning on a Sunday here, and I looked at Telegram and I sort of like squinted my eyes and went, oh, that's now. Oh, I can make it. And so I just,
what a pleasure for us.
Made it.
Thank you so much for joining us. Actually, know that you're coming in at a great time. I think Harley, Tyler and I were just kind of discussing kind of what we've been able to accomplish over the past few months based upon the ethos of what was started. And so maybe Harley can give you a rundown, and maybe we can go from there, because we'd love your input.
Yeah, so essentially, I'm sure you've seen the communication in the group. I guess Damien's saying the link is telling him it's invalid. Let's try and get in.
Sorry about that. Keep explaining, and I'll take care of this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so essentially, we're just trying to figure out ways of communication so that everybody's on the same page. There's no misperceptions, and we can move forward as a team and go from there.
Yeah, I woke yesterday and I kept up to date throughout the day reading, because I did respond when I saw a representation of everyone's opinion from one person. And I thought, well, I'm a part of everyone, so I better say something. It's just one of those things, you know. So, but what for me, the lingering thought was trust, potentially, and in incubating BYOBs, there's going to be this sort of, well, let's think about this. This is a good opportunity to consider at what point do we trust these businesses to the leaders to sort of stand on their own 2 feet, and is there a feedback loop required or an update, because you're going to potentially look at opportunities to evolve as you would each know as to your journey to now, you know, where you started and where you're at now. You can add additional objectives or things you want to achieve in goals. And so where Tyler might have started off with one thing, you know, and he's sort of, oh, hang on a minute, this has gone really well, we'll add this as well. And as well as when you're close to it and you literally in it and observing it, you're going to have, I guess, build a stronger trust base because you yourself have done the research. So there's that. If someone says they've done their research on another person, it's like, well, it's then you're it's like inferred trust, isn't it? Yeah. And I've been in this situation in a really, I actually came into an NFT space through trusting someone that I trusted someone that they knew. So I passed that trust on, and that wasn't a good experience for me. But here I've done my research and I'll stand on that because I know you each individually, and I'll stand on. So it's sort of like the further away removed you are from it, the more you're going to have that rise up in yourself potentially. And how do you then overcome that as Health Bank DAO grows? So there's some thoughts.
No, that's freaking awesome. Yeah, that's like right on the money. Like the detachment, it's like the telephone game, like especially when it comes to like my project specifically, you've got the weird words, and that goes like between people. Like I can't even tell my own dad the same word twice, or he's like, what? Like, you know. But so yeah, I could see that. Funny characters, but I mean, it's not really any different to me than learning someone's name from India. Like that's kind of how I look at it. I'm like, well, it's Biblion instead of Ahmed or something. So
I love it. Go ahead, Harley. Were you speaking?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think you made a good point when you mentioned trust, Nani, because it does come down to trust. In this space, there isn't a lot of trust. We've all been burnt before. We've all had bad experiences. That's why we're all coming together to make a better experience for those coming after us.
Exactly.
And I think that, you know, man, thank you for coming at the right time. Honestly, your opinion matters a lot. And this is what changes it. When it goes one person above the three that fought hard to do it, the way I look at it is like, wow, that's beautiful. I never even saw it coming. I might cry about it later. You guys ever know what ATP is? Right?
Maybe. What's it stand for? I might know the words better than the letters.
Adenosine triphosphate. Actually,
oh God, what is it? Hold on, jogging. I should know this.
So this is how energy is made in the body.
Brain fart. Okay.
And I told you that's kind of why. This is kind of why it's getting to me, because it's really funny. What's up, Damien?
I'm gonna have a read later. I've just parked that in Google.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you
yeah,
look
it's
it
diversity.
Up. What's up, Damien? Good to have you, bro. I'm gonna explain something real quick, and I'm glad you hopped on, and then I'll give you the chance to speak, dog. I'm so happy you're on. But here's what I was gonna get at. ATP does not work without magnesium. With you joining us, Nani, you are the magnesium. You are Mary Magdalene coming in to give us that outlook based upon intentional creativity being created as energy for the bloodline, which is what Damien perceives himself to be. And I believe he is one of the bloodlines, right? Because bloodline means brings flow, brings and carries and delivers with utility for those that he will protect till the day that he dies. However, that's how this all started. Because Tyler said he was going to go and fight with me to make it happen. And while Harley was actually doing it in sweat equity, not in a verbal agreement. And this challenge created that bond individually differently. But now bringing it all together, it's this magnesium, this energy of balance, which is the female force to bring us all to the next level through a perception of evolution with intentional creativity, accepting the fact that everything started but must evolve, but then must come back to reattach, to regroup in a sense. And this is where Damien now comes in, trying to figure out how could he, with all that he carries and all the weight that he's carried, how can he put down the backpack and catch up with us? Is that kind of where we're at?
Sounds like it. Can I just say that in intentional creativity, when you said bloodlines, that we have a ritual when we open circle to create that container, and it's called a red thread circle. And this is the symbology that threads us and weaves us all together, and is in some ways it's representative of blood, yeah. And that bloodline that we all have and share in common in unity. So I thought I'd just bring that up.
That is
You
amazing.
said bloodline. Yeah.
No,
It's like I am connected and you are connected. We have some words for it, but ultimately I am responsible for my shit. You're responsible for your shit. And you know, there's that as well. Yeah. Mm.
that's BYOB. Which is why everything that has been going on the last few hours are just kind of like so many emotions, because until there's discussion, then there's just perceptions. There's not actuality. Everybody has their perceived reality. And it's just like, look, let's take the next step forward before we bring on these 113 souls to a sinking ship or a floating ship or one of the best ships that's ever been built. What are we building? Right? So, Damien, if I could, man, can I pass it off to you? I'm so happy you're on.
Yeah, for sure. Where do you want me to start? I guess give me a little direction. I'm just long day. Sorry, I'm running crazy at the farm.
No worries. Basically, what's going on is that over the past, what now, 50 minutes, we've been trying to just, you know, when you have a discussion about what was created, I think Tyler made a fantastic great first start to the discussion, in the sense of what does it mean when there is this thing that's not contractual, but it's built by trust. So that's where everything started. And so I don't know if you want to hear why I trust Tyler and what I trust him for, and why I do not, like I said, see that there is corruption. I think there's misunderstanding in the evolution of, you know, what his growth and our growth and your growth and Nani's growth and now Mr. T, Sean's growth. And it truly just comes down in this lack of engagement. And it's nobody's fault, but I hope that from here on out, whoever's watching this really feels like they are part of this bloodline. In a sense, we are all bringing energy in and energy out of whatever it is that we're trying to manifest. But I would like to explain to you a little bit more, Damien, about the trust that Tyler and I have in each other. And hopefully then I could explain how I have this trust with Harley. And then you can understand the beautiful kind of, and she said it best, she's vetted us all individually. That I do not doubt. And that is the thing about Nani, which is do your own research, right? So, you know, is that okay if I start there, Damien?
Yeah, for sure. And can I say one thing real quick?
Of course.
Just to be clear, like it's not that I don't trust Tyler. Like I do trust Tyler. I just have my concerns of in the future potential issues via Plum Portal's association with it, via the way things have gone, if that makes sense. Like personally, I like Tyler and I have no reason to not trust Tyler as of now. Mega Man, on the other hand, I do not, but that's a different, you know, either way, I just want to say that before you get going. But yeah, go ahead.
And I think that this is where I love the way Tyler began this conversation very eloquently. And the way that I could summarize it best before I have him come in and save the day with the way he perceived it. I'm just trying my best here, Tyler. So please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to go back to my notes because I do love everything you said, man. And this is the reason why, like I said, when we spoke, I told Tyler in the beginning, I was like, yo, you want to be president? We had a conversation about this. Mind you, this is after hours and hours and hours and hours of conversation. You want to be president? Cool. I'll support that, bro. Because I think you're really here to help the world, right? It's a verbal agreement. He said it. He like the self of his chose to say something to an external self. And now he knows I'll hold him accountable if he really said it. Now, it may be in passing, but that already lets me know what his mind aims to achieve in the pursuit of self-evolution. In his mind, he sees that he has everything it takes to get there. Why am I supposed to get in the way? I now know the role I play. I don't need to lead, I need to build. Is that true? So I build. So if he's taking on the charge of saying, I want to be president, it's a verbal agreement that he said, I want this. And it's a verbal agreement that we both made when we said, we want Health Bank to succeed. It's a way for people to get a fractionalized masternode, and they can then use that NFT that represents ownership of that masternode in that dApp where they can obtain a loan from it if they chose to come back to it. So it's a decentralized finance platform based upon the idea that the NFTs are backed by the masternode. Is that true so far, Tyler?
Yeah, for Sea Monkeys, definitely. For the Zodiomp, it's
And
not there yet. Yeah.
thank you for clarifying that, though. That's evolution.
And when you say president, you're saying of Health Bank?
Of the country, United States. It's a long shot, but
that's what I thought. I was wanting to be clear.
But understand this. We don't know what that means. All we know is it's a direction, right?
Yeah.
For sure, absolutely.
So
it's
when
the
I come
intent
in,
of president. Yeah, I'd say the intent of president.
No, fuck it, bro. I'm with you. Dream big.
Exactly. So what it means to me as someone that listens to my friend tell me about his dream, because very few people will tell you their dreams. What's up, Sean? I am so sorry we haven't not addressed you. It was a little meaty in that situation, but hello.
Hey, y'all keep going. I'm only here for about 30 more minutes. I got a date tonight, so I just wanted to join and share my presence. So y'all continue, do your thing. I'm eating. I got to iron my shirt. I got to be out of here at 6. So, yes, y'all
I'm glad you missed me crying, bro. I'm glad you missed that. So now you got to go back and be like, what caused this guy to cry? But look, the
magnesium.
And that's why Tyler and I got united, because
exactly.
You see why I cried?
I started a little bit too, but
Yo,
outside.
You guys need to understand it's so much bigger, but it's possible. It's only possible because as a man, Tyler said, I'm going to feed my family and do whatever it takes. So in a discussion with a friend, someone that he felt like, if I speak what I want, it'll manifest, right? If I speak what I want, I can put it out there and I can then work through it and I can develop it, right? So that's what he chose to do. But manifestation occurs in threes, right? Until it attracts the energy, the female force, because it needs to be balanced. And such it was today. But magnesium for us was the point of kind of like where Tyler and I said, look, we need to teach the world the most important skill in the world is how to not be deficient in magnesium through a diet that allows them to get access to some of the most important minerals, which he himself produced. Mind you, he feeds himself and his family first and foremost by creating one of the most hard to get minerals in the world. After I consumed them, after my clients consumed them, after a lot of the people's lives changed because of Tyler's work, then I can go ahead and say blindly, his intentions are X, Y, and Z. I know those intentions. But the evolution is where maybe things got a little bit unclear. And this is why I think this is a great day to clear things up, because Tyler has hit a lot of the goals he originally set out for himself as a man to accomplish. And currently I'm in the process of knocking a few more of those things down. Harley has been here from the day one when we ran the challenge through sweat equity. And literally, I've never seen anybody network harder than Harley. If I could say this, he is the MVP of the entire Ripple Dev conference. MVP, hands down. I just didn't have a prize, bro. Sorry. You left it with me, actually. But we can't cover those things yet, because those things don't fucking matter, if I could say it that way. This matters. And if this doesn't get brought to a point of shit, there's going to be more Damians. A lot more. A lot more. And a lot more Nanis. Because financially smart people, responsible individuals, caring, empathetic souls will not risk their energy into a black hole. True?
100%. I hope so.
The most precious fucking asset we have.
And if that's not, so I need you guys to think of it as what we just described. That's what we're all fighting to protect. And how it really started was by Tyler saying, I'm going to push it off the hill and you guys get ready. Is that true?
Pretty much.
And so if he could do it, can't we all? And if you could listen to the why it was done with the way it was done, the complexity, just like his is complex, ours is complex. But the reason that he has the freedom of intentional creativity is that because it was understood that the system could only work under such, where nobody can control anybody. And ultimately, it comes down to how hard are we all individually willing to work to make a surplus out of which we can then donate to a 501c3. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
So, I mean, does anybody want to take over? I'm going to shut up because I have a problem. But Damien, is that making more sense kind of where him and I stood at the beginning?
Yeah, for sure. And like, you know, as I was trying to like said before, like it's not that I don't trust Tyler currently. My skepticism at this point, I mean, it's like the real truth is like I believe all of crypto at this point is to somewhat extently corrupt, potentially manipulated by AI. You know, there's bots that manipulate the liquidity pools and everything. Everything is, I'm skeptical of it all at this point, right? So to me, like, I absolutely agree with Tyler, and I see the same vision. We can build the entire thing. Where my plan differs from his is instead of sourcing it through 7 different projects, we build it all internally to suit, you know, with the dev network and the army that we have.
Can I address that?
That mitigates liability and risk.
You just said something very important with the devs. That was the same thing Tyler said. We need to find the right devs. So Tyler put that weight on his back to go find the right devs. Instead of saying, I'm going to become the right dev, he said, I'm going to go find them. That's what the right business owner does to be efficient and minimize cost, right? You trust a credible source, but first you got to find them. And in this space, because we are so early, he went ahead and has been vetting people out left and right, which is why you see his organization being a little bit kind of unclear in the sense of how it's moving, because it evolves so rapidly, because it is the old barter system that will take off. And it's coming back through the sense of if we can help Harley make sure that Plum Portal is successfully integrated into Health Bank, that will be a big, big plus, wouldn't it? Because Plum Portal, as far as I understand it, when we think of a table, right, a 3-legged table in this case, that doesn't have anything pretty on top of it until Nani comes around and joins the party, right? Because now it's a party. Nani comes in, puts a flower vase on top, and she puts a flower on top of that table. Now it's a functional table, right?
What's the flower vase? I'm missing this analogy.
And that's you guys. Let's call her the flower. She's the female presence that's involved with the guaranteeing of this project, right? I need, and mind you, could you make a painting of this, Nani? That'd be cool. Make a table with a flower on top, and the vase is going to be everybody that chooses to protect it, because that's what matters here, guys. That
Is
it
she
was
like the shaman kind of per se, in a sense, the female shaman.
Exactly, but you guys
Okay, I get it. I got it. I was trying to understand it.
No. And if you see it, because right now, what we are all building is a way to protect our own legacies in the future, while at the same time develop a new system of trusting individuals, while at the same time trying to create a brand new healthcare system.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say anybody's done it, so everything you're feeling is justified. However, Harley is in the process of becoming the next Tyler in his own manner, in the sense of he's now on the marketplace that Tyler has helped to build, right? Like Tyler's passion for everything he's done to guarantee this thing that he pushed off the hill could take off has arrived him in 1, 2, 3. Obviously, we have to have some women in the game. Sorry, Nani. These girls, have you talked to them? I've never spoken to you about this. Can you give me some insight? Have you ever talking to the lucid women?
I haven't. Actually,
I know, Tyler, have you talked to them?
Saw on XDC.
Yeah.
Been there since the start, yeah.
So Lucid Women is the I don't know if she's married to the founder of Demo, but they're like definitely partners of some type, whether it's business or not. But they're really nice. They just don't really have much of a project.
But this is the thing, right? They're working hard to inspire the world to take the next step forward.
Mm-hmm.
If we can address this instead of addressing it on the white paper, because today's discussion allows me to fully write the white paper as it's supposed to be, because look, nobody put me in charge. I gave up my position of attention and leadership to Tyler when he said he wanted to be president. And I was totally cool with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need the eyes on me. I don't need to be, but what I do need to do is that because we started this, I got to make sure that if others are to follow, that there's a path. Exactly. So as Tyler grabs the machete and beats the shit out of everything that comes the way, I'm making sure to leave the breadcrumbs. And what's happening is I'm documenting the entire way. So if anybody wanted to join it, they could do it. And Harley was the one that said, I'll test everything. Tamir, Jeremiah, you know what I'm saying? Sammy, everybody has chipped in. Now we all arrived at this point where we have so many souls on this ship that we have to define this ship. And so because of that, that's why I think being able to discuss partnerships and integrations and the ethos, if we could leave this recorded for the world to understand, it'll help them, because it is complex in its own way. And Tyler, you made it very, very easy to understand. And I thank you for that, bro. Can you give us a brief breakdown of what you said so it's back in your own words to the entire group?
About all the projects I'm working with specifically?
Guilds and partnerships.
Oh,
so
yeah, okay. Right on. So as a contractor, I've had employees, I've had subcontractors I've hired, and I've had guilds of other contractors that we've verbally worked together and sort of split jobs on. And so there's a difference. It's kind of like partners and alliances. A partner is someone who's you got a contract with that's binding, and there's repercussions of some type if you break the contract, versus an alliance is something like, hey, let's ride to work together. And then if I don't like you, just get out anywhere. Like, that's kind of like the big difference, I'd say. And it's not like and it's making sure also alliances have to have some kind of like, just like there's no repercussions. Like, you guys just move on, differences are settled, and you just go on, and there's nothing gained or lost from that, or gained. There's always gonna be something gained. There's nothing really lost, like, for example. But that's basically what I've been doing, is I have every single project is a seriously vetted project that I've talked to the founders personally for hours and hours and hours before I even just like wanted to tell everyone that I'm going to need support to get listed on their exchange or whatever, whatever the heck it is. And yeah, so like that's kind of where it is, but it's really scouting out different devs, different types of ways to use the XRPL, because most of it's on the XRP ledger, which is not it's like barely a blockchain at this point, because it's mostly Python scripts running transactions. It's not really like smart contracts like you think of the traditional blockchain. So most of what it is just kind of like borrowing their existing open source tools or using something that's open source that doesn't have a risk to use aside from them just turning off their website. And it's like the other part is like, I don't agree that one project can have like what you guys like superpowers, I suppose you could say. Like you kind of need an ecosystem like an ocean. You don't have one fish that keeps the whole ocean clean. You have all the fish and the shrimp and the crabs. So that's kind of how I approach it all. And I think like all the projects I've ever been in, if you invest in say like one coin on AVAX, that coin's limited to literally just itself. And the ecosystem is like stuck because only people that find that coin will contribute to that ecosystem. Whereas if you have an ecosystem of projects, you've got a bigger slice of pie there. And then furthermore, if you go to multi-chain ecosystems, you've got a bigger parts of other pies. So that's like what I've been doing on top of helping people navigate and educate, because our token isn't for sale. It's not, that's one of the things is like our tokenomics have nothing to do with the project whatsoever. Our tokenomics are like part of the NFT game character with like zero value. And that's actually designed because the SEC sucks. Like I will say that personally, they don't make it easy to make an American project work without some part of it being a security. So it's like a mixture of working around the laws, plus making sure the token isn't a riskful token so people can use it to educate themselves on these ecosystems. And if you want to learn about it, get the airdrop, go play with the token somewhere based on whatever ecosystem you're going to go learn about from one of our alliances. And that's kind of what I've been doing. And it's been really building the community up like crazy. We went from I think we had like under 600 followers with the Sea Monkeys when we ended with that and from middle of August till now, we have 5,500 followers and that many trust lines.
Shit, bro.
Yeah, it went
very exciting.
Oh, it's nuts. And that many trust lines, like that's how many holders we have just for the token. That was totally free. And I don't tell anybody to buy it. People in the group are always like, where can I buy it on the DEX? And I'm like, you shouldn't buy it on the DEX. You should definitely wait for the airdrop. And so like, as far as the tokenomics go, it may be a confusing way to distribute, but it's no value. There's never going to be value given to it. I'm never going to sell it. Like, so that's not what I'm selling. I'm selling a video game.
For a second?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can you say that last part one more time? You're building what? I'm sorry.
Oh, so I'm not building a token for like value. I'm building a video game. The token will be in. And the video game is what's the market. So like you sell the game, we'll sell NFTs for the game, we'll sell merchandise for the game.
That's it.
The metaverse, like plots for other businesses that may want to come in. I'd like to vet them too. I'm not going to just let it be like anyone can come buy a plot and set up a metaverse business. But as long as it's unique, educational, and helps people, and it's not just some like random DeFi pointless thing, but it's like a functioning way where you can conglomerate all this knowledge into helping yourself create something. So that's what it is. It's a big educational thing that on top of that, the game's not even crypto reliant. So it's going to have the total option where you don't even need to have crypto or have a crypto wallet, because it's going to have an in-game wallet. If for only the fact of sending you like an NFT that lets you have like a membership to the game. So like that's your account. And if you want to set up a wallet, it'll teach you how to do a Zoom wallet, a decent wallet, and then you can do all the fun bells and whistles of that. You can still beat the whole game without an NFT. You can still beat it without ever getting into crypto. An 8-year-old can play it. They don't have to worry about a securities law, anything like that. So
can I interject?
Yeah.
Because you've described beautifully what should be done to build your own empire, right? In the sense of you get the community's support, and then from the support, you foster it. And then from fostering it, you ask them their needs and you incentivize contribution through participation. Very much, if I could relate it back to the business model that XLM Stellar used when they were actually creating their project by coming on Coinbase, they set apart a percentage of their tokens for education, just like Bibliops is doing. And so for me, like I said, this is hard to explain in text, So this is why my ideal goal has always been like, can we just get on a call? Because if we get on a call, we could do this, we could record, others could learn, we could have a vote, we could vote later, but to do that, we have to have a voting system. So let me explain a few things because I want to explain how
Can I
I've
ask
always.
a quick clarification question?
Please.
So even though the intention is for the Bibliox or whatever the fuck the token is to be airdropped and not sold and quote have no value, in reality that token is traded with the value on the DEX as it stands, correct?
Yeah, just like you could say, like I drew a
So
picture
but that's specifically one of the things that I keeps bothering me is I feel like you intentionally say things that are misleading because it has a value, even though your intention is to not have the value. The market gives it a value by trading it on the deck. So therefore,
Thank you for bringing that up. I guess.
So
you're
so
right.
that's a good point. Someone's asked me before, and I look at it like this. If I draw you a picture on paper and I give it to you, you can sell that for whatever you want. Someone else can buy it for whatever they want. That's totally not anything related to what I'm doing. And if they choose to do it, they choose to do it. I can't control whether or not.
But that's why this was made. That's why this was made. And so that's really why it's called trustless, because you should be able to easily come on. Now it's hard to trust. Easy to come on a ledger where all the transactions are going to be shown. But this is where this is tough because Tyler has created a market, right? And this is what's called market disruptors. And so we want to look at economics from the angle of market disruptors, as opposed to just what is currently trending in the economic plane that determines your current reality.
Right. So by trade volume, it's a very small disruptor at this point. You have, I think maybe, I don't know, like I checked like 4 weeks ago and it was only like 1,000 XRP for the whole week.
But that's where it comes down to projects like ours to make sure that it's like, okay, if a decentralized autonomous organization is to be built out of bibliops, that's always been the thing, right? There's a slight possibility that the moment of decentralization will come. Yeah. But the tipping moment requires a community and a platform. Is that true?
Yeah, definitely, because the community can't do anything without the platform.
And then there has to be, as you said, you know, you started this whole thing explaining to Damon, as a contractor, so we have to identify and to me, this is the role that I play. And I don't mean to speak on anybody's business. Like, I'm just looking at how would I feed my family? And I've never told you guys what I'm doing in the sense of how it's growing, but we have to look at it as, why does Health Bank need to be created? 1, I need to feed my family. 2, someone needs to solve the problem. 3, if others are going to join this solution, can we create an onboarding system for them? And 4, can the people that have gone through it come back and help those that are trying to get through it, so that we as 5 can continue to keep it for the next generation because we all contribute.
Right.
Ultimately, Nani, I bet you she has no problem working harder today or tomorrow to make sure that if there's a place that she can fully trust, she will deposit her money into it to get her redeemable tax credits back, basically her tax deductions, right? But that's the game here, guys. Like we got to look at it from the big players games. Like we are creating brand new types of institutions. And so for me, that's why I showed up to the thing at Ripple, because like that's the game I've been playing to make sure that if somebody needed something, whatever Tyler's experiencing, you know, I'm documenting everything because I got to create a development agency that can solve everything. So now that we have 2 development agencies built, now it's easier for us to onboard developers. We have over 15 developers ready to go ahead and do something if we know how to handle it. Like the whole point of going to the XRP thing was to make sure that Harley and I could be true to the mission in person, because sadly right now, Tyler has personal difficulties. I understand that. Harley understands that. We will never hold him accountable to that. What matters is, if we are to keep sharing this message at the top of the mountains to the best people in the game, can we do it as a cohesive project that makes sense from here on out, before that anybody comes through the door? And tomorrow is when everybody comes through the door. The party starts tomorrow.
That's exciting as shit.
Like, you guys don't understand how much it means that we could all come together, but it's all built on trust. And if you got to trust anybody, it really should be trusting me. And I'm thankful that Tyler trusted me, because what he's doing is tremendous. And so what I had to go ahead and do is find, what's going to be that person that balances us out, because Harley is the most, like I said, he's the MVP at the platform. I'll let you guys know now at the conference, he got Ripple's best lawyer, their advisor. He got their product executive. Harley, what was Sasha Wash? And I have it here and I can't remember what it was. Tyler, do you
NFT manager.
NFT
Yeah,
manager.
he's the senior product manager for NFTs at Ripple.
I mean, I can keep going. I have a list of like 9 people he got. And when I say that there's nobody like him alive, I mean, this guy fought for future generations like you wouldn't believe. He opened up a place for me to go ahead and pitch to investors, which we walked away with numbers from. So the opportunity for us to not only get grants, funding, and everything else for Tyler, for Harley, for Plum Portal, for any project, I'm talking about any project. We've made the relationships that built the trust, so we don't have to think about how do we earn trust with them. It's done. So trust is done. Now it's a matter of delivery of value. And because Tyler started this whole avalanche. You look fresh, bro. You're about to go ahead and get yourself a good night.
Who, me? Oh, Sean.
Sean, sorry, bro. He's going out. You look fresh. But Damien, obviously, Harley, am I kind of speaking on the things that, I mean, you were there, Harley. How can you give it from your perspective? Now this is going to take a whole different turn, right? So we need to tell me, what do you see as being the next thing we need to focus on? I know we talked a little bit about it when we first started, yeah, go ahead because I haven't heard from Sean. I know he has to go, so I just didn't want to not give him a chance.
Yeah, man, I'm definitely, listening to both sides, agreeing with everything. We definitely need to get everything out on the table and all be, 100%. One thing about going to battle in business is that when you're in war, you got to count on your brothers 100%. You got to know that they have your back without even a question. And that's kind of the mind frame and set that we need to enter this time period, is because this is, pretty much revolutionary ideas that we're building out. So yeah, man, we keep it up. Communication is key. We all need to lay it all out. We all need to see it on the table, and we all need to execute and stay true to our word. So yeah, man, I think that this was a very good chat just to pop up and have at this time and to get us more synced, because that's what we need to do. We need to know that we all have each other's back 100%, and we're going to manifest this reality. It's not maybe or we might, we're going to. So yeah, man, I'm with it, fully 100% in it.
Means the world.
Yeah, so the major theme that keeps on coming back up is trust. And I know with me and Damien, we put a lot of trust into a lot of these projects, and we got wrecked times after times. And the same with you, Johnny. We got wrecked time after time with the nodes. So I lost money with both.
I apologize for any decisions you might have made.
No, so it came down to a point where I'm like, are we going to be consumers or creators? I think we all have the creator in us, but
you're right. That's the pain that bonded us, because I know Tyler was right in that mess with us. So go on to continue. I like.
Yeah, so essentially, we went out to Apex last week. We're the only XTC project building out there. So from the get-go, we were kind of on the outside figuring out how we integrate it into Ripple. And we all started this journey through XRP and then found XTC. And being there, connecting with all the top devs, all the top executives, and letting them know our vision, and for them to validate that, yes, we got something legit, it just cements that we have something that is going to change the world, because health is something that everybody can resonate with.
Thank you, bro.
I haven't met a single project leader. I've talked to some huge project leaders. I haven't met a single one of them that has had anything besides shocked about hearing about Health Bank. We talk about it and I'm just like, like they're all, you know, like asking me about Bibliomp and stuff. And I'm like, well, listen to this though. Like, this is what I'm actually trying to get people in. Like Health Bank, like Bibliomp is a game. It only is going to reach gamers, like, and maybe people that see it on YouTube and shit, but like it's a place for people to find and learn and become. And Health Bank's a big part of that. You're going to have the biggest freaking building on the metaverse.
Well, it's only
Yes.
being built to satisfy all the people that really want to change their lives, right? Because that's why I have to be so big. But, you know, I think you guys are understanding that ultimately the vision has always been to teach the world the way onto Web3 while incentivizing health. These are the two parallels that will keep coming up, because every person, think of like the X and Y chromosomes, right? All of us are made up of the desire to go ahead and leave something behind, and the desire to go ahead and also at the same time become something that has a way to, in a sense, protect their own. And to me, like, you got to leave trails if you're going somewhere. That's called a destination. And I hope all of you guys are not wanderers. You're going somewhere. And if you're going somewhere and you could just kind of pour over your shoulder along the way, then this is how this is being built. But that's why exactly when it comes down to this, his education model is what I think that you guys need to start paying attention to. He has created, instead of, you know, trying to say it cannot work, why not can it work? And I just follow. And I follow because he's telling you the pains, and you just take the shortcuts because he gives you the solutions after the pain. And so that's one perspective. You don't have to take it, but that's why we're bringing many mentors together, because not one mentor knows the way forward. We're all trying to at least say, I want to be a witness to the growth of that person. And to be a witness to the growth of that person, which essentially is a relationship, to be able to see somebody and catch up requires that a person shows up. Right. And you guys have done that today by giving us a little bit of your time, regardless of how long, how much input. Right now, it's been about, can we really say we went from 3 people that had a dream of creating a decentralized healthcare system? Those 3 people became men of value that created communities, that those communities had their trust and they would fight for, so that way, no matter what, they would not allow anything that wasn't true to what the ethos was that brought them. And they could only be validated by external forces. But if it can be amplified, it would be by the grace of a female presence that believed in intentional creativity, because that's exactly what it takes to keep us true. And if she saw that something wasn't true, she would have been the first red alarm that I would have seen going off before Damien. So Nani, I know you had a chance to hear us. Can I shut up and can I let you talk? Because you really are, to me, you know, when I think of a courtroom, I think of you as a judge, you know, and at the same time, I think of you as I told you in the past, the mother of the team, that source, that water that we have to build those channels for, so that it can flow to everybody, so that we can keep growing more flowers. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. And it's a beautiful sentiment. I hear the word judge, and I'm probably then I stand back because potentially judgment can bring someone to a place of establishing right and wrong, rather than looking for where in themselves they're out of balance. And it comes back down to this. Just if I was going to wrap up from the conversations again, is how do we get to that place within ourselves where you've got those that have gone and done the work and showed up and been validated for one of it, but you yourself weren't present at the time of that happening. And that, are you able to then trust that system? And hey, we look outside from ourselves now, and there's systems collapsing through all manner of corruption and just not showing up for the collective good. So, we're walking two worlds right now, aren't we? And it's are we making choices now that are independent of, that they're aligned with that vision? Or are we just trying to recreate the crap that we already know because that's where we feel comfortable? And if something is difficult, I heard another woman wonderfully say that difficult is simply a different culture. And that can be harmonized, can't it? It's just potentially learning about what it is that is within you, not comfortable, and finding comfort and moving towards something that is new. So there's a lot going on for each of us in this space, and will continue to be so. So this is really healthy to just talk in this way. Yeah.
That is health.
Yeah, it is. So, I mean,
Thank
really only Damien can talk to this with his, where he's at now in potentially looking at, well, Tyler's represented an alliance that he has personally vetted to the nth degree, because he's aligned with the overall mission and wants to bring something to it. And he's really, really steaming a path for us all. And it's like, how can we, like, if Damien can find that within himself, how can he share that for others, that he went through that, and those that are going to come along, that will be another Damien that goes, well, I wasn't there when that trust was, I wasn't party to that relationship, but I am party to a relationship with you. Therefore, especially as we grow, and perhaps, there will be other Megamans out there that are part of alliances that work well with one person, but not potentially work well with me. And am I comfortable with that? How can I find that to be okay and continue to do what I'm doing and not feel threatened by it? Just putting it out there. I'm just riffing now.
No, I love it. And I would love to hear Damien's input before I kind of hit to, I know Sean has things to do, but this group has been through so much. So nobody, and I tell Hartley all the time, and he was there. I just started the concept, but this is your project. I've taken full steps back, just trying to make sure after this, it's all yours, how you guys choose to go forward. And so that's why it's like, I need to hear from everybody's opinion before I can even really say anything. Damien, can you help us? Where do you stand? Do you understand everything that's going on, kind of how it was built? Why obviously we encourage people to be without too much, how do we say it? Government intrusion for regulatory trust-based methods, right? Because we're trying to get away from the government creating trust, and we're trying to create a new system of verification for trust. And I'll explain why in a second. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
And do you have any kind of, because I want to address specifically what Plum Portal is to me. And maybe you can correct me, because I also want you to be clear on where I would like to go ahead and possibly see things moving. And if you can help direct us to better wins, I'm totally down, because you are someone that Harley will go to war for. Hence Sean, and hence why I literally never even doubted Sean. His intention and ambition, just like yours, have always been there from the moment we got in contact. And I know that there may be emotions, but for me, as far as I understood, we had discussions. Emotions and discussions, they're two different things, right? The facts were the fact that we had a conversation about ownership of Plum Portal. How did you want to go about it? Right? And this discussion, when we went there, I was like, did you want me to be involved contractually? Yes or no? That was the question that derived the entire outlook on how Health Bank was going to move forward, because it was being hindered by Plum Portal's ability to tell me if they wanted to have a verbal partnership or contractual partnership. So when Tyler goes ahead and starts with verbal or contractual and these partnerships or, you know, contractual agreements or verbal tacit agreements, this is all with the same intention that you and I had a situation where it's like, no problem. I will not mess with your project. I just simply want to know how I could work to bring you further benefit, because I wanted to be able to go ahead and if we bring some kind of like, we create something of value, how could whatever I create of value with Tyler and Harley benefit Plum Portal? Because it wasn't defined, because it seems like you're the gatekeeper of that. And so in order to break the gates, there has to be this trust, and then water can flow. Now, we are all willing to go ahead and do things, but what I've learned here in this conversation is two things. And mind you, I'm always just thinking about the process of the idea from genesis to utilization at scale. And so we had the idea of a decentralized healthcare system. Tyler had the idea of the NFTs being backed by a masternode so that way they can go ahead and be able to be used for loans in the future for early support to create crowdfunded communities. Is that fair so far? And then Harley comes along and says, hey, look, man, one of my best friends, one of the people that I really trust, I would go to war for, he's running Plum Portal, and I am, you know, he's involved with Plum Portal, and we could do this and this for projects. And I said, that's a solution to a problem everybody's going to have. So I said, I'm all in. How do I help? How do I get involved with it? I didn't want ownership, but I just needed to define how the fuck do I take the next step forward? Because if I don't have a say, then I don't really know what I should do. Right. And so that's kind of the whole point, where if I don't have a say, it means that someone doesn't value the way I see things working enough to be able to adjust the profitable markets or the margins, I'm sorry, that would affect the economic output of their performance. So for me, it was like, okay, I understood that, and Tyler understood that. That's why he created his LLC, because you can't go to war without having an LLC. And then if we're going to go to war, are these people allow me to have a say? Did they already start? Yes or no? So this is the point of genesis, right? We have to define the point of genesis. Many people that you're going to meet in your life moving forward, and this is where I bring Sean up, because he actually followed my footsteps in creating a software development agency. So he wants to go ahead and say, yeah, that actually sounds good, to be able to take someone's idea, cultivate it, bring water to it, pour it every day, build with it, get paid for it, see it come to fruition. Like, he was like, that sounds cool. Let's do that. I could see myself. And so that's a different strategy. So we have two things: create a community from scratch, or you have the money to pay somebody to build it and you come into the market as stealth. Right. And I think that Plum Portal has the idea of coming to the market as a stealth project that all of a sudden just appears. And then there's the thing, but to build that community, you guys have done so much. So Harley's doing XDC crystals and your guys are networking on the back end. So the way I see it is XD crystals is the front end of it, supported with everything that Sean's doing to go ahead and guarantee that you guys always have two development teams always there available for you. Just like with what Tyler has done for his business model. He's gone to war to make sure that there would be development teams, because at the end of the day, there's this thing about becoming a contractor, right? Tyler, like you said, as a contractor nowadays is going to be known as an entrepreneur. I have this idea and I need this. And if the two don't come together, there's no building anything. We're the new Masons. And so because of that, we have to come to understand the process of it being built out from scratch. Either this direction, as we've always said, Tyler done it manually, or the other direction. You have the applications, but to get the applications, you need the capital. So Tyler has this way of moving forward. He found partnerships and bartering. And Plum Portal has yet to define how they're going to come into integration with HealthBank. Because if right now we're doing the development on my end, as I've told you guys, I've tried to give you guys as much tools as possible to go ahead, but I haven't been let in to know what is really going on. The moment you trust what is being built on HealthBank, it'll help other projects like Sean know how to integrate, like Nani's know how to integrate. Because Tyler and I had this bond that he was going to do this and I was going to do this. And because of that, Harley's here and now we can grow it. But it all depends on the gates not existing because there is trust. And if there isn't trust, help me understand what is needed in order for Health Bank and Plum Portal to integrate in your mind so that we can make moves to make it happen.
I got you. No, good. I mean,
had
to
some
be
good
clear,
chocolates.
when you were saying like when we had our first, kind of hard conversation about contractually involved or not, just because that went that way, like I just want to say like that didn't mean that like I don't, I personally I do value your input and opinion. Like to me, that wasn't like I don't want your opinion on things, right? It just made it easier for me because essentially where we're at now, right? I just envisioned a bigger issue becoming down the road, and I didn't want to be stuck in it before we had a solution to that.
Would you be okay to tell me where you are now? Because I don't know where you're at. And the reason I kind of just took the step back is because like I trusted everything you're doing. And it's just, I knew that devs were going to be needed. So I needed to become the dev that could actually give you what you needed. So that's why Distance was created, because I needed to dive deeper into the craft to be able to say that I understood blockchain and coding to the depth where I can say, if you chose me and you trusted me and Harley, all your entire team, you guys trusted my development agency to produce something under specific scheme or a structure, right? Because there has to be a schema. It would be a blessing, but it has to be earned. And I know that. So therefore, I just been hitting the books every day, trying to learn as much as possible. So if you can share with me a little bit more about where you are today as Plum Portal, it would really help me personally.
So where we're waiting at right now is we're really just waiting on 2 pieces of artwork from our guy that did the plum pot. And then we're pretty much ready. The website's kind of hidden and ready, lurking in the shadows. We're ready to mint a bunch of NFTs that we've got from artists and start selling those, right? And then attach the culture credits and get going with the branding and stuff from there. At the same time, we can drop clothing, merch, NFTs, so kind of the initial plan. That's all still ready to go. We just, the reality is we're kind of, I like to move the polar opposite of Biblioms at this point. Like I like, we've kind of agreed via talking that like slow and steady, and we're going to do one wave of X amount of sales, fucking do that, hit it, set everything up, make sure, kind of revisit where we're at. And like, at that point is probably when we'll need the first smart contract, right? Like that's kind of like, we didn't want to overextend and start doing a bunch of dev work, not knowing for sure exactly what the fuck we wanted.
You're totally fine. If I could interject there, because you brought up a really good point. You didn't know how much dev work you would need. So that's why I'm saying Sean and I are trying to create solutions where there are different ways. Number one is, I hate to say it, guys, you need devs. And if you're not a dev, you're going to need to pay them. So when it comes down to it, you can give up a fractional percent of your ownership of your project in order to move forward. I choose to inspire people to become devs because I don't want anybody to give up governance. No, that's your project. Go build it out. But in case you need something and you really see it as Tyler has done, that it's like, no, he has full ownership of everything he has. That's why I called it an empire, because it's untouchable. It doesn't matter to us at Health Bank because Health Bank encourages the growth of empires. If there isn't empires that empower people, then what the heck are we working hard for? And
and I agree with that. I guess my issue would be like the lack of vetting process, right? Like there's no like we're blindly trusting that super busy, super hectic Biblioms vetted all these projects to the T. Where the reality is, like personally, I have an experience with Mega Man and CNYX that does not sit well with me. And like I have fucking Twitter messages to prove that he's just not on the up and up, right? So like the number one person associated with Biblioms, essentially outside of Tyler, is someone that I feel is a shill with no morals or values and doesn't give a fuck about the collective. So at that point, like that makes it really hard to want to be associated with that.
I truly appreciate that. And that's something we haven't touched on. Tyler, can you help
I'll
me
touch on it
a little bit? Yes, please.
Yeah. So Mega Man, I'm friends with him. I've known him for a long time. He's not in the project officially by any means. I've never like paid him for anything. Everything he's done has been voluntary. That's like the gist of it. Like he's not actually connected to us. He's a fan. If you don't like our
I get
fans,
it.
I mean,
It's the appearance of things. He looks like he is attached to the project, so it comes out he's a paid shill that's been scamming people. But hypothetically, right? Like I'm not saying this is true, but
Right.
if that were to come out, then it would make Bibliom's project. It would look bad on you.
so far it hasn't. So far I haven't had a single. You're the first person who's ever told me anything like that about him, and I didn't know. I don't know what you're talking about, the Canary X stuff. I'd be curious to know about that, but I haven't had any experiences.
I'll make it real quick. He promoted it on Twitter, and like his page, I think, or somehow got in on the CNY X. But like it was, if you shared it to your friends, you would then get more airdrops, right?
Right. Yeah, it's a free airdrop.
Like I sent it to 25 people. Like so, I had a big bag of it come in, and like at one point, like my Twitter handle, I put my username instead of my handle, so like it didn't read it correctly in their Telegram, bot right away. But I fixed it where it then populated what my airdrop should have been. Well, I never got my airdrop. So I then started like messaging these guys of like, I went to the Telegram or the Discord. I started to see that a lot of people didn't get their airdrops. A lot of people had the same issue. And eventually they acted like they were going to fix it and make it right. And then after so long, they kind of just fucked everyone off that got screwed on it and just kept moving forward with the project. And, Mega Man included kind of just took his big bag and kept trucking.
Could I just say this is
what does Mega Man have to do with Canary X though, besides he shilled them? Like he has nothing to do with your Twitter problem. That's where it's like there's a connection there that's not really there, I think, besides that he shilled them.
I guess the way I hear it is this. I one day I recommended
he marketed it.
I recommended let me put it this way. And maybe you'll understand kind of why I actually feel like I'm kind of a victim, or I could be judged for that as well. I told Harley one day to invest in something. We lost a lot of money.
Right? Well, it's kind of like that's the full risk with crypto. And it's kind of like that's, kind of like getting your friends to sign up to get more airdrops. It's kind of like affiliate marketing kind of, right? I mean,
correct. Yeah. But the principle is the issue, Johnny. You felt bad.
Yes.
When Harley lost money.
Tremendously.
When I messaged him about, and it wasn't that like I lost money. It was that they just didn't give me what I was supposed to get from doing all the work and shilling.
Well, there's that difference, right? Like we don't know if because you call it shill. I've never used the word before in my life, so it's kind of funny for me to even say that. It's coming from
I saw it via his marketing campaign.
That's fine, but that's the point of this, where you have to realize that at that point, you are the receiver. And so now it's personal systems of validating where information comes from, right? And so you're the receiver and you have to validate where information comes from. What I and Tyler chose to do and Harley believed in through sweat equity day one, all the way to the fucking closing to the fucking MVPs of the Apex convention. It's literally a new system of integrity where all of these people here are willing to fight for the same thing, to build a new system of quote unquote building integrity and a new system to test integrity. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Nothing.
A new system to build integrity is all we are doing here at this meeting. And with you guys coming on board, to me, it says so much. And I wanted to illustrate the 2 points that I had here because I haven't been able to get there, because these 2 points really determine everything. You see, this whole thing started just as a kind of like, before we take the next step, right? Because you guys are here in this discussion, but you that actually chose to show up and give us your time can give us only one thing at the end of the day. This is binary, guys. Binary. Do you approve enough to let Harley, Tyler, and myself create a multi-signature wallet on the XDC network that will then be able to help manage the decisions of what we are creating? Does that make sense? That is what you guys can help us understand right now, because we made agreements as friends who chose to fight to create something, and we created a multi-signature wallet on Ethereum. We've made that agreement digitally. And so if the people have allowed us to, through their trust and participation, then we can possibly go to the next step, which to me makes sense that we would have something on the XDC, and then we could take the next step, which is what I've told you guys, BYOB. This is why I'm trying to get everybody involved over there, because that's the way that we can actually, and so there's a lot to be discussed, because that means that Health Bank, when it's created, if you guys vote yes, that these three parties, Harley, myself, and Tyler, are trustworthy enough to be able to run that XDC multi-signature, that also means that you are allowing us to be the registered parties in the entity that is to be created. And these three parties will be equally responsible for everything that's about to happen. And then from then on, we are the acting directors of what is to happen. So you literally kind of understand where it has to come from. Yeah, we have the idea, but Genesis, it hasn't been created legally. So Nani, can you help us understand if that's a fair way to move forward?
You got my vote. There's the answer.
Thank you. But I wasn't expecting that. That
I
fast.
will say real quick, I made prior commitment to both January Walker and to XRP Jenna to hop on spaces for a few hours here in 15 minutes. So I will have to leave in about 15.
We'll be done. We'll be done. Because literally, we've arrived at a really good point where it's about the people knowing, one, what you're doing, what you guys are building, why you stand where you stand, why you're not willing to quit, and what you're willing to do in a sense of to guarantee certain things. And I've tried my best to describe how the system works so far conceptually. Tyler, do you seem to understand it?
Yeah.
Does everybody feel like they kind of understand what it is that we're actually building? Because this is going to become a not-for-profit organization here in the US. Now, what we're trying to finalize is obviously it's going to be in Wyoming, it's a DAO, but then it's going to apply. And then once it applies, this is going to be the multi-signature wallet where everybody can donate to. It'll say donations.xdc. That's why we bought it. Because anybody in the world can now donate to this treasury, and it cannot be moved unless these parties are in agreement. And if you guys trust us enough, no money could ever be moved before voting sessions through a 3-layered system. And these 3 layers of voting are created by people that participate in the health challenge. Number 1, they have to become a user that participates and gets 80% plus. If they do, they get an NFT, they get access to governance. Great. We'll accept their vote on who could be the next coach of the ecosystem. We get a lot of applicants. Is that right? We get a lot of people interested, a lot of people that want to, but I couldn't handle everybody. So there had to be a system. This system had to be created to handle both healers and entrepreneurs, and somehow put developers right in the middle to make it all kind of mumbo jumbo work. And you teach them all that if you create businesses that are based on blockchain technology, healthcare systems, and helping the planet, then you could have something there. And you could really do some damage if these people who actually walk the path could actually stop and create systems of education for the rest of the world. Those leaders could then incentivize people to go through those courses so that they can earn their community reward tokens. The very same way XLM taught us. They did it. It's legal because they did it for their tokenomics, and it's used as advertising tokens. It's broken down in their thing. So it's totally fine. And so what Tyler is doing is totally fine. It's just, it's hard for us to comprehend that communities can be built this way, but that's why we should, because even though it's hard to keep up, because I told Tyler, I've bought the moment he put it out there, but I have not been able to follow through on every single thing he's asked, because I'm a believer, but I can't be a constant participant.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I knew what I was getting myself into, but that's the whole point of knowing your investment. But the outcome of why I invested is because down the road, I was going to be able to go ahead and get loans off of that NFT if I chose to build it, but I trusted he would guarantee it. And so Therefore, his NFTs have utility. Health Bank has a avenue of creating profits and development team that's trying to figure out how to build on any network. And now we have a really good team. And so because we've done this, Tyler can guarantee the longevity. It inspired many to come on board like you guys have. And we want to go ahead and continue being true to everything. The only way that we could do that is when there's a vote. And lastly, when obviously you guys decide the frequency of communication. That's the most important thing. Not me, you guys. And so if you guys can help me with that, can we get a vote on the first one, if that's okay? Are we okay to run a multi-signature on XDC, Tyler, Harley, and myself?
Yep, count me in.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I have no issues with that. I trust, that's why I trust you guys on that front. I guess, you know, to be clear, I don't trust the vetting process at this point of all the other projects. How about that?
And that's why
What can I do to change that? Like, how can I make the vetting process more like
It's more-
transparent for anyone?
It's more just the fact that, like, you know, in Plum Portal, we all just fucking rail each other, and you know, Mr. T can attest, we all just kind of go at each other. Like, it's more the fact that, like, you did it all yourself.
so,
Like, you
but
didn't utilize
that's the thing.
around you.
He did it all
I
himself.
actually didn't do it alone. I mean, I
And-
did it like I'm leading it, but my community agrees. They're the ones that vote on stuff. They're the ones that recommend places and
You
also vet people. So it's kind of a group.
You
You guys
also
are hitting-
you stated though in Plum Chat that your community doesn't ever really give any negative feedback or critique you on anything, and you like the feedback. So
I like
to
negative
say-
feedback, but
to
yeah,
say
like
that they vote yes on everything doesn't really reassure me on much.
Well,
Look, guys, there is this thing.
that's subjective as can be right there.
But okay, so let's leave that point aside. It all
Yeah.
comes down to this. If he wasn't doing this, could we potentially have a chance to fix it? Right? If he wasn't risking his own integrity, and I'm totally fine by saying, like I said, until there's clarity, and trust me, I've been doing a lot of pondering on this over the last few hours and the last few days, because really what has been going on now. So the idea of a vetting process, guys, I need you guys to see it as this. There is what's called KYC, KYB, and then now we're having to create KYD, right? Know your customer, business developer.
Mhm.
Is that fair?
I guess we need another one. KYI. Know your integrity.
So there has to be a moral check or something. Yeah. value.
And that's the health score. But that's the health score. And that's what I wanted to kind of share with you guys. Since you're here, I'm going to tell you everything that happened, because that was the main point of kind of like, it makes sense. Here's how we're going into XRP. And this is important because people don't, they're in my shoes where Tyler understood. I didn't understand. Tyler spoke. I didn't listen. Tyler said the answer. It didn't make sense in my head because the media has programmed us to think of EVM as blockchain. So I did not listen when he spoke so true that you don't need to know Solidity to work on XRP.
Mhm.
And so that was the thing that kept flying over my head as much as he would say it, and it just wouldn't make sense. The how to. This is why I'm saying I completely want to make sure you guys know that there is these, as a developer, right? Like I'm trying to develop, I've built a lot of dApps. I haven't deployed them into mainnet, but the ability to build them, to tell another person who has a development agency with 100+ people what to build because it makes sense in my head because I already built it out and I just do it faster at scale. Like that's what I'm looking at. Like I have development agencies that we can go ahead and get at very affordable rates so that we can have an accelerator program so that we can get a small grant from XRP or XDC so that we can create a design of your idea. And then we give it to these development agencies so that you can actually have quick deployment because it's very affordable. And because now you have developers that understand what is needed. They just want to be able to scale the work. And they have vetted out the process. That's who's building our entire app right now. I'm not building anymore. I'm about to go ahead and take off. I have 5 projects waiting for me, but I couldn't do it because I've been focusing on how do I hand off the responsibilities of the application for Health Bank that will run this thing to redistribute the NFTs instead of me doing it. because that's the issue. We don't trust the users. I don't want you to trust me. In code, I trust. I promise I didn't want to come to market if I didn't have the code. So Tyler's been patient with me and he's just been putting it out there. Hey, look, just be trustful. This is coming. And that's why his project will be guaranteed a certain amount of tokens to guaranteed stability. And it's a gold-backed token with a smart floor. So when we talk about what will happen to the price of Biblion, it's in a switch. It's just a switch, right? Another project gives it further utility. What's going to happen when another project says, I want to make sure that as soon as I launch, I put more tokens in your hand, Bibliomps, his project, boom, another layer of stability. And this is what we are trying to create for our communities, layers of stability and economic peace of mind. And it can only be done when you're willing to carry that weight. But therefore, the SEC has to create, or the CFTC, right? They have to create these new methods for KYC, KYB, KYD, and integrity. So this is the problem that they're going through. So when you talk about solving multi-million-dollar problems, can you see what we're working on? Every single person's experience matters. That's why when you're vetting us, Damien, I encourage it, but I don't want to settle it over text because that's not helping us. And then the last thing is that, in my opinion, there should be a period of, hey guys, when we finish a meeting, that's why we're building the DAO platform. There'll be 48 hours for people to vote. People that hold the health token will have 48 hours to go vote on the proposal during the Zoom call. And that's why I'm asking you guys, when can we meet on a frequent basis on Zoom call for BYOB? Because you guys here is anybody not in BYOB?
I don't know if I am.
Nani, do you know about BYOB?
I'll look at the, I'm almost through all the videos from the Codex. I've just finished part 2 of Banks versus DAOs. So I still have that, but I did jump to the last video because I really liked the wording. So I watched the setup of the BYOB. So I kind of know where you're coming from, but I had a look at the form to complete it. During, you want to be a partner, you want to be an investor. Is that what you're talking about? Completing that investment form?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so I had a look at that, and there was one question that I didn't know how to answer because I don't have an investment. Was it a body or a
business?
Group business.
Entity, group, yeah.
I thought, I'm not a part of one. Do I need, so it was a question.
So typically what happens is that DAOs are investment clubs, right? So if you are essentially building another DAO yourself or a partner of something that you're involved with the creation of, just like basically anyone that's creating a DAO is essentially like right now, who's holding the multi-signature wallet? Who's got access to the gates to the treasury that you trust? And those are the things, like if your project right now with your partners, and I apologize for not remembering their names. Can you remind me, please?
Chattel and Bianca, yeah.
So it is a trio. In my mind, it was. So, and so with you ladies, this is another DAO. This is another investment club, right? And so the relationship goes now digitally on the blockchain instead of in real world. And so your interest as a person is one thing, but ultimately there's also the DAO that can make investments. I know you have a thought, so you want to get it off?
Yeah. I was thinking of that from the partnership side of things, but from the investor side of things, so people aren't joining the BYOB.
That's where I was going to give you clarity.
Individuals?
So that's where I was giving you clarity. This
Okay.
is why our project is so different than every other project in the world. You have to think of what we're creating here as the World Economic Forum. And do you think that it's the let's say that in order for us to justify what we're doing, we have to be not people doing this, we have to be businesses being part of a collective coalition, right? That basically can then do what it needs to do to regulate the utilization of healthcare funding. True?
Okay.
So in order to do that, we had to basically create what is called an investment club under legal law in the United States that operates in Delaware. And this is an investment club created through the platform called syndicate.io. In this course, I go through everything, right? And so the course goes through that point of deploying it. And so what happens is you have seen kind of like what goes on. BYOB now has only 99 registered investors that can be a partner in. So because there's a maximum of investors, these are not going to be the people, but the B2B DAO. It's a B2B DAO, not a P2P DAO, if that makes sense. And so because of that, being a B2B instead of a P2P allows us to have two different tiers. The P2P is an NFP. And then for profit, it's the investment club. The investment club can then allow Ripple to be a part of it, one of the 99. That is the point of this group, where those that are already involved in that group will get access to the link after this conversation. And you guys now, your wallet, whatever wallet you attach, you will be able to go ahead and remember, this is B2B, why we encourage Tyler taking over the world. Because the more that he can do what he wants to do, the more profits he creates. The more profits he creates, how do I help my friend basically in the tax system, right? Is we create a nonprofit and then he can deposit to that and then it's deductible, right? Or it's just going to help him out, let's say. So can you do that in your country? Can you do that in your own neighborhood? Can you protect yourself where there's a two-tiered system? Number one, a not-for-profit that operates on the blockchain. And then number two, your own LLC that uses blockchain technology to create DeFi applications to generate extra revenue in order to solve world problems through decentralized storage solutions. And this is what Tyler has done. He has his own nodes. He can offer cloud storage services. He created his own business, Dream DeFi, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
To be able to install nodes, his first software agency. Because of Tyler, I got my laptop in order to install nodes, because we had so many people telling us to install nodes that I said, yo, I can't let him be the only person doing this. I got to learn how to at least install my own nodes. And so then he started teaching me what he knew. And that's what this has always been. We barter on education, time, energy, skill sets you lack. Hopefully I know somebody that might help you out, but I could tell you this much. Anybody in my circle is going through Health Bank because I don't want to associate with anybody that does not have the integrity to care enough about themselves to work out. At least 80% of the time. I got to give it to some people when they're hungover. Sorry, Sean.
80%.
But does that kind of make sense what B2B versus P2P and what BYOB is?
Yeah. I just got when I read the form, Investment Capital Group website seemed like a long runway to get to before I could complete the form.
And that's why it's not. This is why we separate the class of investor that can come into a voting group that manages the security of the healthcare system. So are you seeing how there's 3 layers to this? Number one is you have to be a participant or a user to obtain NFT health rewards. Number two, if you do have that, and here's the part where we solve identity, because this was the reason why I feel so comfortable leaving the Ripple convention. We connected with someone that is taking care of a KYC platform called Heirloom. Julian is going to make sure we can go ahead and create these, what we call identity tokens within our own ecosystem. That is the same problem Zoom Wallet is trying to solve right now. And it all depends on being able to follow the same system, but introduce third-party accreditation institutions. This is the most important thing, where you create, and this is what I'm focusing on. That's my main project with Codex, is creating a Web3 accreditation institution. Because the accreditation institution guarantees that any professional in the healthcare or wellness business or sector can then go ahead and say, here's my certificates. There's a system for verifying with the institution. There's a system for verifying wallet to user through nation and government regulations, because that's why Verif exists. And then through Verif, you use their API to create your own custom API to then display through your own DApp which users have already been verified by wallet address, not by name. And all we're doing is creating these third parties that are participating to create their own public APIs, which we can tap into to verify wallet and metadata matching.
I've completed that bit. Is that what you were asking? I've completed that bit. Is that what you're asking about earlier with
Yes.
BYOB? Okay, yeah, a couple of weeks ago. Oh yeah.
Well, that's why the Verif is so important, because Verif is an intermediary party that's not me.
Okay.
And they have been approved, meaning that everybody trusts them because they have been vetted, right? That they're going to do things a certain way, which is a certain protocol that has a certain security clearance that they require you to go through in order to validate that you are who you say you are. Because of that, Zoom Wallet uses them. This is the wallet on XRP. And so when I had a chance to talk to Wheat's niece, the guy that created it. So I was on with him for a good 5-7 minutes, just talking about identity and SSI wallets and implementation of how we can tokenize identity through these fitness cycles in order to validate users' ability to collateralize the health token for loans. So what's important is for the health token to be able to be used as a collateral for you to get funding. Just like Tyler had to create a way to be able to give people a way to have a collateralized loan, we had to come up with a token mechanism, a code. We had to create how could Health Bank have a tokenomics plan that would guarantee the stability. And if we invest in gold and carbon credits, we can then do offsets and stability at the same time. And so all these things are going to be laid out in the roadmap that we're creating with the development team. I just took care of payment last night. They are now fully working on our project. Here's what's coming, guys. First off, we have our fitness DApp. Then we're going into the marketplace, Bazaar 3, that's where Plum Portal comes into the mix. From there, we are going to the next page, which is our loans DApp. And so to do so, and we have 3 more steps to overcome. It's deployment, then recreate that same thing for marketplace. But the reason they have to be complementary is because the NFTs that are generated every time a new user is created has to be being controlled by the marketplace that we own. We can't depend on somebody else's marketplace. That way we can retain the metadata information within our own database so that way we don't sell it, but we can use it to verify user identities, making Codex the party that you guys can go to verify any of your community's needs, or, are they really who they say they are? You would tap into my API because my API at Codex would have all of the people that basically have gone through Health Bank. Therefore, you trust it. And so because you trust it, that API is going to be able to provide you with peace of mind that these people are who they say they are. Is that kind of making sense? So at the end of the day, we either trust a development team or we create a development agency, and we bring a lot of people together and try to inspire people. And this is why I've had to create Codex to be a systematic process to how do developers go from not being on Web 2 to being on Web 3, and how do we take Web 2 developers and put them into Web 3? So I want to save that conversation for next time, because I know everybody's got things to do and we should probably bring this to a wrap. But does everybody kind of see how the ecosystem gets attention from Tyler, gets this attention and brings it to this marketplace that's being generated that is symbiotically a fitness app, right? Anybody that comes to the marketplace, which is going to be Plum Portals. This is why I want to know what Plum Portal is trying to do, because that's really what's going to allow that to be the case, because that's the third leg. Tyler has lending, Plum Portal has the marketplace, Health Bank runs the challenge, or Codex guarantees trust of the APIs. And all of those are working together, verifying user identity, which is why we're using the XRP network. because the XRP network with Heirloom allows us to then create these identity tokens, which then can be staked for bonding and so on. And there's so many things that I don't want to get into today, but Tyler, let me end it on this.
Yeah.
There is a real black hole project. I don't know if Harley told you.
No.
And by the real, I don't know how your system works. This is part of my ignorance. But from my understanding, this is, Harley, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
I'm not going to butcher it. You hop on and tell them about Mark's project.
So you're familiar with the Reaper token, right?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, he's actually on the January Walker call I'm about to hop on. But
yeah, he's
anyway,
a good friend with her. Just like, I don't like his project much.
So yeah, we met a guy named Mark out there from Hawaii. He pretty much forked the code of that and brought it to the Cosmos network.
Huh.
So he has the Reaper of Cosmos.
Okay.
The reason I'm saying, go ahead.
I mean, like, that's common though. I mean, everyone's kind of bouncing.
Then that's where we're coming at, which is like, what I wanted to ask for. Number one, this is the thing that we're trying to solve, to create a deflationary health token.
Oh.
Are you kind of seeing what I'm saying?
Like, yeah, there's like burn mechanisms you can do with transactions. You could have people vote on burning certain amounts. You could create bonds that burn. That's what I did. You pay your health token.
That's what I want XRP to be for.
So check this out. So basically what you do is you create a bond that you pay for with health tokens. It burns the health tokens you pay for it, but then it pays you back in health tokens, maybe a little more, like 110% or something. That's like one easy way to go about it. That would be a manually like community-based burn. Unless you did it automatically with transactions. That's the other, those are the main two ways.
And here's the way I was seeing it. Maybe you guys can, let me explain the why. Thank you for sharing your insight, because I didn't want to speak until I heard your thoughts, because I knew you knew the answer because you just built it. And I love it. Can I share this with you guys? I couldn't take the next step forward without your approval. Sorry if I'm holding you guys up, but the way that I saw health tokens possibly being able to get burned, in the sense of, how do we take them and convert them into XRP? That XRP can then be deposited into the AMM, so that health bank can then earn liquidity tokens for the AMM that it can always have as a second layer of backing. You see what I'm saying?
Well, you can convert easily using Pathfinder. That's like, you basically, Pathfinder is basically the way I look at it is like a transaction tool that lets you send yourself your own coin as another coin, or you can send other people. Like Casino Coin uses Pathfinder, and you can gamble with XBibleX, but it settles as Casino Coin. So like you can spend your anything and then it settles as anything. So that's one way to go about it. But I don't know where it goes. Like I think it goes on, it sells on the DEX, so it doesn't actually deflate. It just gets rid of it from your wallet.
I love that, and I'm really gonna take a look at it. I'm so sorry, guys. I always talk, but I needed clarity on this, and if I don't talk to you guys, I'm always gonna feel like this never took the step forward that it needed to.
Right.
What I was thinking because of this, and this is why the health challenge is so important. We have 100 people for one coach. This is, I've talked about layer 1 of governance. We talked about layer 3 of governance. We need to talk about layer 2 of governance, because layer 2 of governance is the most important, in my opinion, because this is what validates a business. Remember how we said KYC, KYB, and KYD. Codex is doing the development testing, and I'll explain it on the next one. But to evaluate businesses, we really have to be able to, oh shit, I looked down at my notes. Can you remind me 3 seconds where I was? Freaking stoner. I looked at my notes and I saw something and I lost. Oh yeah. So in order, sorry.
Oh, I was saying deflationary health
Yes.
tokens.
Thank you, fam. So the health token is minted out of thin air. True? To give it stability.
Well, yeah.
What's that?
Right, I believe so. I mean, yeah. It's like
just like anything else. So we're gonna mint it and we're gonna put it into that multi-signature wallet that we've just agreed upon earlier. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
So that way, that holds all of them. And it's by trusted people. Now, second to that, when money comes in to Health Bank, this is why it's important that you guys gave us the thumbs up to create an entity, because this means Tyler, Harley, and I have to have a serious discussion about creating the bank account that will hold the money that users pay in Web 2 method, or if they pay in crypto, now there's a way where it's going to end up at. We have an Ethereum vault and we have an XDC vault, which means that if they choose to pay in ERC or XDC or XRP, there is going to be a way. And this is why we need to discuss these things. Because
you will need a, there's two ways we can handle the XRP side. You can do an XRP multi-sig that actually those can do up to 32 signatures. They can have 32 signatures per signature.
Yes.
Or you can bridge your XRP with one chain to our XDC vault. So it's all in one place.
No. I think that that's the right thing to do, because that is where the people in BYOB that are currently in up to this moment should be a part of.
Yeah.
You know, you know what I'm saying?
And you can bridge from XDC to XRP if you want to upgrade the wallet to something like that too, because you could bridge those there. So
through
either
the
way,
XRP multi-sig.
yeah.
Perfect. So then that's the blending point. If you guys are given the approval for using XRP as a deflationary chain for us, in the same way, kind of like what Tyler has started there, in the sense of we want to make sure that the tokens that were once Health could be one, burned, but if they're burned, when they're converted, what are they converted to? And in this case, from my understanding, what you just said, Tyler, if we have gold Tech tokens in our treasury, which is the gold backed tokens that are going to be in the treasury that all three of us are responsible for, right? Because if every $100, 20 of that goes to buy gold backed tokens, hence gold Tech. So for us, gold Tech is a pivotal part that will be a constant purchase per sign up for the health challenge. Is that making sense?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody okay with that? And if that's the case, 20% out of every $100 will go to stabilize the treasury in gold-backed tokens, at which point, because the tokens are essentially tied to the amount in that vault, that is what we're using to give it its backing. And so therefore, the amount of people that sign up will increase the volume of our vault by 20. $10 out of that will go to the investment club. This means that the BYOB makes proposals and we put it for the people that hold Health to vote. Would you guys be okay with that?
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. So that means that the reason that the BYOB group has to make proposals and let the Health token holders vote is because when Health token holders want to become business owners that can potentially get a loan to start their own business, they got to talk to the businesses that are generating revenue and surplus that are constantly depositing into the NFP. Therefore, the NFP has money in abundance to give out as grants for those projects that are specifically focused on blockchain technology and then the health of the climate of the world, and more importantly, healthcare. Is that fair?
Yeah.
And how we create jobs is by making sure that every person that comes into the ecosystem teaches their own way of getting onto Web3. So the only real requirements here, guys, if I can just be completely honest with everybody, I try to make this super binary. Number one, you hold Health because you went through the challenge. And then when you're a coach, you create a course that we can go ahead and teach others how you did what you did. And so when a quote unquote person wants to get a loan, first they have to have an automated system of helping the world, right? And an automated system of helping the world means that you teach the world how to come on board to Web3. And if you're going to come on board with Web3, why don't you teach them about getting paid to work out just the same way you can get them to know about using Brave browser or pre-search? Because these are things that we actually use on our day-to-day life instead of projects you invest in just because of a speculative here and there. No offense to anybody, but we're after a stabilization of the ecosystems by uniting them through health. Can you guys see how that works?
Definitely.
The last piece, if I could leave off on this, and then that means that you guys have approved the entire white paper. The last thing, we are united by health in order to be able to unite the world, because it's not going to be united in the real world, but on Web3. And the only way that we can unite the world on Web3 is when we create or inspire people to become their own investment clubs and DAOs. And when people can become their own DAOs, they can then have the opportunity to make proposals. And if they make proposals, they have the right to be heard. And if there was a cost to making this proposal, it would be the health token. This is the way that the health token can be on every chain. Every DAO can incorporate it, because then if you want to be heard, you have to be healthy.
Yeah, I like that.
It's a simple mechanism that can be introduced when you have DAOs that are built in a specific structure.
Mm-hmm.
And DAOs that are created through that specific structure is why I created Codex. Because the whole point of Codex is to introduce these ideas into a way of crowdfunding. Thanks to what Tyler has done, I can always send them to Tyler. His link for being able to talk to him is on the hack sheet that all of you guys should be able to go ahead and copy, paste, and send to your friends, because these are the mentors that are helping for free. I've never met anybody else that would do that for free, and then I met you guys.
Right.
And
It's
so that's
expensive.
what's that?
It's a really expensive service to get. Like, getting advising is one of the hardest things in the space. That's like legit and not just someone shilling stuff.
That's it. And that's why this today had, to me, was so important. And I don't have a limit on this. This has been the only thing I've thought about, that if I had the pleasure to talk to people that cared about the future of what we're doing, that we can come to clarity about the white paper, because the development team is doing it. But if we could, that's technical stuff. But when we talk about the groundwork, the charity work, the donations, the redistribution of value going to the right hands, that's
the
what
real
we're,
shit.
yeah.
Exactly.
So if you guys can see where we're going, you guys kind of see how the health token can actually end up in the hand of every business that runs a DAO.
Yeah.
Because if every business that's running a DAO can implement the health token as the token for proposals, in order to be heard, you have to be healthy. Then every time that there's another Discord being made, or any time that there's another Telegram being made in order to run a community, subsequently, Health Bank comes in. And so in the process of you building your community, the opportunity for your people to make money is now available. And as they get developed, you can go ahead and guarantee that Tyler will be sharing his knowledge on this platform. Sammy will be sharing his knowledge. Sean will be sharing. I'm sure all of you guys are going to create your own courses. But otherwise, how do we know that the people at BYOB really know what they know if they haven't created an automated course to get the other people up? You feel me?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, yes.
Is that okay, guys? Those are the 3 tiers of governance that we're looking to achieve here.
I like it. I agree with all of them.
Let's go.
And here's the last part then, because if that's the case, if you guys approve on that, here's how you could help. Because one was doing my part to make sure I didn't drop the ball of what Tyler started. So if this all makes sense, here's where you guys can come in, and where hopefully when others are watching, they can understand. If you want to help stabilize the ecosystem, if you want to help guarantee the longevity, just drop 1% of your tokens into the Health Bank vault. You do that. You drop 1% of whatever you do, any project you create, just drop 1%. That's going to guarantee that we create multiple chains of smart floors, because individually, everybody will perform a certain way, but never will the vault suffer. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
And ultimately, by you guys allowing us to be able to go ahead and guarantee that we have a gold back token with $20 of distribution, We put the voting in the hands of the people by having a proposal system through BYOB and its entity structure over the NFP. And we have Ripple's advising lawyer. Did I tell you guys that one? If I haven't, I want to remind you guys.
Yeah.
She's going to help us patent the entire structure and define a legal framework.
Good Lord. That's amazing.
So what this means is that with Jeremy Hogan being able to go ahead and give you the ear, if now that you know exactly where we're moving, what we're doing, and this is clear to everybody, this is recorded, we could send it out. This is ability to scale. So thank you guys so much for being able to give us the time. I know personally I'll be able to sleep tonight. I haven't been able to sleep. This was really important. You guys, you guys giving us the thumbs up to be able to move forward, not having friction within the ecosystem because you understand how the ecosystem was built to amplify if possible, but always encourage what Tyler has done, because we have to help now Harley get the same type of opportunity, and then Sean, and then Nani, and then obviously when Damien comes out, we're going to be able to go ahead and get him, and Sammy, and everybody has a project. Together we can spread the message louder, but we all have to make sure we validate the project so we don't speak anything we don't believe in, and we wouldn't put our names behind. Fair?
Absolutely.
So at the end of the day, Health Bank is an accelerator, a mentorship program, whatever you want to call it. I call it a launch pad for health.
A launch pad for life, because it's life, health, I mean, everything.
Thank
Freedom.
you.
Definitely.
I don't have anything left to say. I've spoken way too much, but I needed to get this recorded so that anybody on the team could always know what we stand for. And in the next conversation, as I said, I'll be talking about the developers, and I'll be talking about how we're going to integrate into gyms and what we're doing for veterans.
I was thinking about that today, wanting to print some stuff out and drop some flyers off at the local gyms of you know, of people wanting to get paid to work out, you know, but I understand that that will come a little later once we're past this run, and once we have the software and all the kinks worked out, we can focus on that.
We got the hardware, and that's the people, you know?
Yeah.
And
We do have tons of gyms around here, so I don't have to worry about that. I can go to gyms and get people. I don't have a bunch of millionaires, but there's a lot of people with muscles.
And that's, if you just said it, you just said it, bro. Oh my goodness. I didn't mean to go into this, but he just said it. This is called bounties.
Yep.
Right? If Tyler were to go out of his way to go generate a lead, there should be a bounty, right? And this is why I'm saying to you guys that if there is a 1% coming in, the bounty is essentially the token of their choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you refer a lead, if you go ahead and get us a lead, the only way to get our tokens out of the vault is through bounties, where you acquire us more leads so that we can be in more health centers, find more investors. And these bounties cannot be the health token. It has to be giving away a little bit of these educational tokens, right, to these people. And that's kind of what you do out of the whatever percentage you guys want to do for education token distribution, like Tyler has done, right? Because Tyler could create a project with 1 billion, and then he would go ahead and choose to give 1 million, 1%. I think that's the case, right? I don't know if that's right, but 1 million to Health Bank. And then that 1 million now is onboarding education tokens that stabilize the token vault. And now the only way to withdraw it is when people claim a bounty. Here's the lead. Give me this email. And because you gave me this email of a qualified lead, I will reward you with some bounties of the token of your choice.
I like that. That's a cool idea.
Would that give everybody a chance to, you know, get involved, you know? And then you guys as projects also have the opportunity to incorporate that into your preset token distribution numbers. Because when we talk to like projects like XList, and this is the reason why this had to be created, because you brought on somebody of high value. So how do we go ahead and take these projects of high value and reward them for being engaging in our ecosystem? Like you said, well, those bounties have to be not at the B2B, but at the P2P. And so if you go ahead and talk to a homie that has $1 million in his pocket, doesn't know what to invest in, you shouldn't have to teach him how to use a wallet and all that. You should just give him our email, or give us his email and let us go to work, right? And that's why BYOB has to have designated roles to capture leads, move them around, and guarantee the fluidity of attention into the ecosystem.
Right.
So can we agree? And I'm just going to leave this here for camera because I'm taking it. We have 4 topics to discuss on our next one. And then you guys can tell me how often you want to meet. We have the structure for developers, KYB or KYD. Then we have how we're incorporating gyms into these NFT degrees. And then the last thing is how we're incorporating with veterans. And literally, it just slipped my mind, but it was the percentage distribution that we were just discussing. Do you guys see it as being a fair system for us to incorporate with other projects that might want to support, but don't necessarily have to, right? There's no contract. There's just an address that they can just deposit into.
Yeah, I like that it's voluntary because some projects could do all blockchain with 0 tokens too.
Oh, say that again.
Some projects can go be on blockchain without having a token. So
Thank you.
like,
Yes.
yeah, that could happen.
Yep.
Or they're just using mainnet tokens. Like you can use XDC token to do almost everything a layer 2 can do. So
No, and you guys with that, I mean, honestly, with what you've given me, Tyler, thank you so much for being able to give me a little bit different perspective on how I can handle the burning and transferring of XRPs into XDCs smoothly by using Pathfinder. I'm really going to go ahead and take a look at that. Do you guys feel like there's something that we should address before the next one? And do you guys understand the ecosystem as a whole before we open up the gates to other people?
Yep, I do.
Perfect. That means I will go ahead and publish this. I'm going to send out an email to everybody because really that's what it means. We go live on 9/11. It was really that you guys would be able to unite. It's funny how this happens, but all of us needed to come together and have this message. This message can now be understood by everybody. If everybody that has signed up for the challenge, we have 113 or 14 people now, go in there and go in the Telegram group. If everybody goes on there, that means on Monday when the challenge actually starts, everybody is already involved with the support group. And so if you guys want to jump in, I'll drop you guys the link on the Health Bank DAO, and you guys can become mentors to everybody or support systems for everybody. And my vision and Sammy's vision is that we would do challenges throughout. Somebody just drops in, hey, do this randomly. Hey, do this. Just show us how you're moving. Right now, we're not going to pay you in the sense of what I want to. Obviously, bounties are going to come from when projects give us a little bit more. Right now, the important thing is that if you guys feel like you've been there before, where you started a challenge and nobody really helped you get through it, and this is the group that should get you through it. And so thank you guys for making yourselves available through Calendly. I know a lot of you guys have given me those links. And if I haven't put it on there, and if you want to guarantee it, just send it my way. Can we end today on last thing? When can we do this again?
any Wednesday and Monday are like all generally free. Otherwise, anytime, like my times are weird on Tuesdays, and on Wednesdays I have to help my dad during the day 3 times. So as long as it's between like those times,
Wednesday
I'm pretty flexible though.
Wednesday and Sunday?
Wednesday and Sundays are good.
Okay, Wednesday and Sunday. And then what time did we do today? It was 4 p.m. CST or 6 p.m. CST?
4
I
p.m.
think it's 6 your time.
Yeah, but it's CST that is everybody okay if we go to CSTs Central? Just so that way everybody's mic can just, sorry, bro. I know. You got to be a little bit uncomfortable. Let's put it this. What time zone would you guys prefer to operate at?
Eastern's easier because I have a lot of kids and they're all like on schedules that are here at school time zones and all that. I don't really care though. I can work with other stuff, but if I got to choose, I'd pick Eastern just for simplicity.
Nani?
I'm the minority here, Australian Eastern Standard Time. So like this morning we started 7 a.m. my time, if that puts it in perspective for whatever you're talking about.
Would that be an uncomfortable situation, or do we get you up in time to start your workout?
It's all good. If the birds are up, I'm up. It's just having the heads up that this is going to actually happen. That if I'm not on Telegram, and I might miss the link. So
You're totally fine. We'll make sure that there's a lot more engagement. This meeting, honestly, and being able to speak to you all about all the subject that really matter here, which is delegation of responsibility, and more importantly, operating mechanisms that allow you guys to be heard. Because if you guys feel like this will allow you to be heard, and you can see the potential growth that we can have at a global scale when we talk about DAO to DAO, B2B interaction through smart contract interoperability, for the opportunity to make proposals by using health tokens, that right there is the end goal. I don't know how long it's going to take us. We can create a bank along the way. We can go ahead and start the solar farms along the way. All these things are underway, but what matters most is that you guys feel comfortable with how we can make a global change, not profit.
Mm-hmm.
And so if
that's what our businesses are for profit.
That's exactly it. That was it. Health Bank is an NFP, but our own individual businesses, that's where we go ahead and go crazy trying to go ahead and solve all the problems in the world by ourselves without putting anything else of Health Bank liability.
Exactly. Or even like making people reliant. If people just try to learn how to like join a health bank,
yep,
then they're just going to be little like reliant people instead of independent freedom fighters.
And that's it. And this is where I wanted to leave it up to Tyler here and you guys for this final thing, to raise capital.
Mm-hmm.
Out of those 99 spots. This is how I wanted to see if we can kind of come and kind of do something together as Health Bank and Biblioms, as being able to go ahead and have specific amounts of those positions given away to specific investors who may want to buy a seat at BYOB.
Mm-hmm.
So you can create some type of like NFTs. You know what I'm saying? For Health Bank DAO with the Bibliom kind of like culture behind it. We want the branding, if possible, the feeling. I really want people to know that this is the collaboration that the world's been waiting on, but it's actually found through BYOB. Become your own business. And out of those 99 spots that are available, in my mind, something like 50 or 30 seemed, good. And then you make those only available for a price of, I don't know, you guys decide. My mind said 100,000, whatever you guys want to raise funds for, because essentially what we're trying to do here, Health Bank is a bank. So if there's going to be a selling of NFTs that's going to end up in a treasury, which is a multi-signature wallet, how do we make it so that way that money becomes the grant money available for people to earn?
We got to make the NFTs something that people want and feel like it's valuable to them. That's the biggest thing, is like an NFT is like such a vague thing. It's like you got to really figure out what actually that utility is going to be, or if it's like something that's just strictly like donation NFTs, like the NFTs go to straight up just funding something.
Well, the
like it has to
here
be
is that they get to invest. They're one of the 99 of the new BYOB DAO.
Oh, okay. So it'd be $100,000 NFT
membership.
Right. Okay.
In order for us to raise capital for BYOB to then invest into potential ideas that may want to go through the entire accelerator, like Nani could apply, but because we sold memberships, now we have funding that she can actually get from BYOB if she goes through the podcast voting that we've created.
Right.
Because there has to be access to grants, and the only way to get grants is that we sell membership access to the entire BYOB platform.
That's totally doable, man. Because like I sold that 1 million XDC NFT, no problem. Like that guy was so happy to buy it.
What was the value?
1 million XDC.
But in USD, that's amazing nonetheless. But I'm just trying to convert it.
That was like $60,000.
Amazing. So we're not too far off. You see what I'm saying? Like being able to play. And these are people that want to be part of things like this that are so life-changing at the soul level, not at the adoption rate that Nike could take off, but for people, it re-guides them into what they need to know. Peer-to-peer support.
Exactly.
And so those are the people that I think that these BYOB memberships should be kind of targeting. What do you think, guys? Seats at the table to be able to protect the healthcare system.
I think it's huge. I think it's doable. I don't like, we can 100,000, you know, we can come up with a different price later on if we wanted, but I think that's a good starting ground. Because that gives us what, 100, that gives us a million, like 100 million, $10 million, right?
If we go ahead and do it we have, Nani, I'm gonna need your help on this one because we need a third party. 50 or 30 out of the 99, because right now there's 19 of us. So that means that there's only what, 80 left?
Okay, so it'd be like 6 million. That's still a lot of good money. I mean, that's.
But do you guys see why I'm saying how we could raise money as a team? Because when people watch this, they're going to be able to understand what is being built. If they believe in what's being built and they want a seat at the table, they're going to have to pay a certain amount of capital that will allow us to then provide capital for projects like Sean's, this marketplace that Damien has in mind. If he wanted to outsource it, he could then apply for it. And based upon the criteria of the DAO, we can then allow them to. Through the podcast, then they have the platform to speak. Then we put a vote out for 48 hours where those members that are inside the BYOB club can vote yay or nay. That's it. Execution through wallets at that point, but it's all being stored on blockchain, which is ultimately what we're trying to do.
Right.
If we go with 50, I'm just going to go ahead and put an answer there. We do 100,000.
5 million.
That's 5 billion.
Mm-hmm.
5 billion. So in my mind, that should give us what we need. And that means that out of these 99 people, right, we give up 50. That means that there's only 30 left, which means that through the BYOB podcast, the group will have to select the top 30 healers to introduce into the group. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So you have investors and you have healers. And now we've fundraised with those 99 spots. That's the most scarce resource in the world right now. The ability to be able to be part of that new legacy of controlling the healthcare system and making sure that you're the gatekeeper towards good health. So you guys okay with 100,000? Because if we start there now, what that means is that we don't have to sell off immediately. But what we were looking for is the exclusives, which means that all of us on the group would have to basically go talk to venture capitalists that we know or anybody that we know is of a higher tier of wealth. And then we essentially present them this opportunity to be one of, and you send them this video. And this video explains everything from conflict to resolution. What? That's all you need. How do these guys handle situations? Can you guys see this working?
Absolutely.
Nani.
Yeah, it'll work. It'll work for the people that show up in the same light. You know, it really will.
Well, and that's the thing, because I know Tyler said he was willing to put his name on the line with me, and I know that, and I don't want to put you in that position, because nobody should be put in that position. But if you guys ever feel like, no, I need to be making sure I want, this is the best way. We opened it up to 99 people. Where like, if you trust us to be the people that are going to be true to this, then there's a voting system per year. And this is where the BYOB has its investment, its operating votes, not on how, but who, and not on where. And so that is where people get to choose out of those 99 who should run BYOB. And those that run BYOB run that healthcare system. And so that's why we have to define these roles. And so the more that this group that was just here can meet more frequently, we can better decide how these roles for 20 people can help govern the entire healthcare system on blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a good objective to kind of ponder on for the next few days? How could 20 people run the new healthcare system? And I mean that because they're going to be the people that are been trusted by the holders of the health token. So this is going to, Go ahead.
I just dropped my stuff out of my grill.
No worries.
fine.
So this is a lot of responsibility, but I needed to let you guys know what is going on because that's what has been going on this side. And that's why we went to the Ripple conference and we were able to present to them. We were able to enter that, special group. I guess it was like 30 people that were there with the investors and they listened to it and we talked about what's going on. And so the ability for them to understand the tokenomics really sold them on the interoperability across nations on blockchain. And so now for us, what that means is everything you've done, Tyler, everything I've done and everything that you guys have believed in actually going to be able to take another step forward. And so with you guys being able to be in full agreement, is this what we could put into a white paper?
Yeah. You guys were talking about exit and defining what that looks like. And I think that's really something to bring to a future discussion as well. Yeah.
Thank you for that. That is,
well, everything is cyclic, right? And that's life. So let's ponder the whole cycle.
but does the year cycle for you guys being able to tell us? But that's what exit is. That you guys next 9/11, we should be having a conversation about not what happened, but who's going to help us make it better, right? How do we pick the next 20 people that are really going to change the world because of the way they see health and because they have the integrity and they went through the new KYC, KYB, and KYD systems that allow them to earn a health score so that if I ever meet somebody and they have a health score, it is displayed on an application that shows their health score, right? It's simple.
Yeah.
Because that health score can now be taken to medical insurance companies, life insurance companies, doctors, and that's what is leverage of integrity instead of a credit system. Instead of a credit score, you have a health score, and that is better integrity.
Mm-hmm.
Can we solve these world's problems together? I think if you guys are okay with this, it'll happen. Tyler is doing it individually. I think Nani, you're doing it locally as well on your own, and you're plotting on how to take it globally. Is that right?
Yeah, the offerings will be available to all. And it's just at the moment talking about legal the legal entity that best fits at this point is where we are at.
Can we talk about it tomorrow on our podcast for wellness?
Tomorrow podcast.
It'll be around probably a little bit sooner than this, maybe an hour or two before this. Would that be possible?
Yeah, I would need to be out of here by 8 a.m. Australian time.
Tell me your times and then we'll make it happen. I'll talk to the boys. But if we can give you some kind of clarity, our goal was to be on tomorrow. And if we can have you jump on, that'd be kind of cool to be able to really pick at this.
Yeah, okay. If it's the same time or earlier that we met today, yep, you'll have me for an hour.
Can we do 6:30 maybe your time to about 7:30 so that you could be at the house with no problem?
Yeah, no problem.
I know that's early, but I got to coordinate with the boys, Eric and Sean as well. And I know Sean's going to have a good time, but they said they were available and they really, this is the whole point. We need to encourage these kind of things. If you have an idea or you have some roadblocks that you see, I have no doubt that Tyler would be able to hop on and give you some further insights. And if we could meet your team, that would really help us just kind of take the next step forward,
Yeah, I'll do my best. Hey guys, I gotta head out. The dinner is done, and the kids are screaming at the top of their lungs. You may hear them with the dogs.
You guys are amazing. So sorry that it took forever. Harley, Damien, if you're still there, thank you for being there.
Can I ask one question as we move into the 11th, which will be the 12th for me, the start date. Feedback. So this is beta, and therefore feedback is doors wide open. Do you prefer that feedback to come through via reply email, into one of the Telegram groups? Where would you like it personally?
Thank you. That's a great question, and I really appreciate it. We've been trying to make sure that there's 2 points of communication for everybody. It'll be the email at support@healthbankdow.org, and then the Telegram group will be sent right now with an email. I just wasn't expecting this today. It was supposed to be done earlier, but because this has been done, we can add even added value for the members that are joining us. And I think that this will really give them clarity about what they're going to get involved with. And if they stand amongst the same kind of values that Damien, Tyler, yourself, Nani, and I kind of stand on, hopefully they can feel comfortable to reach out and say something. I know that Tyler has a phenomenal customer service etiquette. I don't know how you do it, but I appreciate you, bro.
I don't either.
Anyways, he disappeared, but there you go. All righty. Well, Nani, thank you so much for asking such phenomenal questions and being so involved with everything that we've been doing. As you can see from trying to describe it, it has been complex. But without you being able to really, like I said, every time that you just drop in those gems and allow us to really be what it's supposed to be, decentralized. Thank you. It's so important.
Thank you. Yeah.
My pleasure.
When I watched this recent video inside the Codex 3, codify your idea, and I got to the bank versus DAO, it really, it just came home as to why I came across you in the first place. It was just like, here's a part of the that you can't see it, it's in the ether, and there it is articulated. So in terms of the economy and money and everything that is kept from our education through schooling, everything that controls the wealth that the middle class and less are able to achieve in life, and yet don't realize that it is part of like what controls them. It's therefore not educated or shared in such a way. And then to find a way to not only inspire one to show up for themselves in terms of health and well-being, but also in a way there's an education that comes with the money side of things in blockchain, and how, and it might come along a bit later. It may not be, sit down to this series of podcasts around money and how it's been used up until date and how that can be changed. You're kind of living it in a way. Yeah. And through that lived experience, that hands-on part of the education that cuts across the lot, I see it there, and I see it in you, and that it's a part of the message, so to speak. And it's a gift because it is liberating. And so to whether you whether it be the BYOB, the investment group, that they also are vetted to a point where they see that education is necessary for flourishing, for diversity to really be amplified. It
can't be done without that. And it's just like you said, it's got to be lived, the experience of it, teaching in the middle of the experience. I think to me that was the most important thing. See you soon, Damien. Sorry about that, man. Much love, and thank you for joining us. It really is that. And that's why I cannot thank you enough for joining us, so that way, hopefully this message can allow you to express yourself as you're building it. Because then when you allow people to join on board, it's not about the money you can make. You can give it away for free, as long as it guarantees that somebody understands your thought process, so that when they move forward with you, they don't have any doubts. They kind of understand how you see the world, because that's really how we free ourselves, right? When we could feel like we're understood. And then we create communities where people understand you. And so they understand that you fight for their health, and then it's just contagious. And I think we could really do something because you believe, and more importantly, because people like Tyler have fought so hard to guarantee it.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I'm saying. Like, to me, I'm just an observer in his reality, and hopefully you and I together can go ahead and take some further notes along how do we together, because once again, I don't want to put, like I said, how you can help, just donate 1%, like donate 1% to the health bank thing, and then you don't got to pay for developers. I want to help if you guys need help. but that would be the greatest thing ever if we can at least sit down, create a design schema for your project, and then you could talk to any of the party or the development agencies that we are in contact with. We have 3 agencies right now that we could outsource you to, or we can go ahead and look to do some work in-house. And like I said, I don't need anything for it. I just want to make sure that we can kick it off the right way with the right people.
Yeah.
Thank
You
you.
inspired me just through getting to where I'm at with that Codex 3 training. I can see how it's going to inspire so many more. Like off the back of that one, I went and I thought, I'll just get a couple more XDC domains,
Yeah.
and I went and got Abundance and
That's a great one.
Yeah, and Flourish.
Oh my goodness, Flourish. And see, that's the power of these. They empower you at the same time, right? Not only do you know that one day somebody's going to think of it and they're like, whatever it takes, I want it. So there's that possibility of future reward, but at the same time, you're like, that means something to me.
Yeah, they're ones that meant something to me. I bought membership as well.
Well, hey, that's what we're selling.
The business brain.
Wow, that's a really, really good one. Good for you.
Yeah.
That's actually, and that's the whole point. Everybody needs to sell the memberships, just like we said. So now your project essentially could always use that when people go ahead and purchase your NFTs. And you said that was our membership NFTs. The money goes to that account. It's,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, that was your influence. That's what I was sharing.
Wow. You're amazing. You're amazing. Thank you so much for trusting us with this journey, Nani. And as always, by the way, I don't want to forget about that knee. Are you moving again without pain? You look great. So tell me, how's it feeling?
Yeah. The funny enough, it was the knee bleed into the foot that gave me the most trouble, and the foot itself has still got a little bit of pain walking on it, as the blood stasis gets moved out. So bit of an odd situation. Haven't experienced it before, but it's with support, I'll be okay through this.
Have you ever used a massage gun?
No.
My best recommendation, because as athletes, we take a lot of impacts and muscle strain. So we use tools that look like an electrical drill, that it goes fast like this. And it has different intensities, and you use it to soften the tissue around the area of discomfort so that the blood flow can be stimulated manually. And so it's called percussion therapy. And so if you want to take a look at that, they're like $45 US to like $65 US. And obviously you can find more expensive ones, but the purpose is just hold the drill against the tissue and let the tissue kind of relax so that the joint itself can kind of be relieved.
Yeah.
Hopefully that brings you some relief.
I've been using Zengushi, which is a Chinese. It deals with blood stasis, but it also has some knit bone properties. So it's very good for both healing bone, soft tissue, and moving blood stasis. So getting the blood in. And I kind of think that's potentially a big reason that has moved the incredible amount of bruising in my leg.
Sammy made sure to add mobility to the program. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure you have the program with mobility. Yeah, and so one last thing, I guess, that we can end on, because that really is really helpful. And I thank you for bringing us back to mobility. So right now, to explain it in 2 seconds, what it is that we're doing with the beta test, I went and I looked for the best platform to create online training programs, because essentially when you create an online fitness platform that allows others to create their program on there, but you attach the feature of getting paid to work out, and you attach it to a treasury that funds the entire world's healthcare system, you have something there. And so that's what we're doing. And hence why we want to make sure that this beta program evaluates the top platform right now. And that's what the one that we found right now in the current world would be everfit.io. And so people should be on the lookout for an email from everfit.io when we bring them into the beta. Because as we bring them into the beta, what we had to do is, we don't have our own platform yet. What we're doing is a test, because we're testing Sammy's ability to produce results over 100 people. So if you give one person 100 people, can they produce 80% results? And if that's the case, that is an individual that you could trust that can make you your money back if you were to give him money to start a gym, because he can turn the world's health around. or she can turn the world health around. And that's what we're after. How do we create a system where not only the user can be tested, but the coach can be tested? And if we give Sammy 100 people, that's what we're doing. We gave him 100 people. Here you go. Here's these 100 people. Help them. What are you going to do for them? So he has a big responsibility right now, because if he succeeds, he's going to be the first coach for the World Calisthenics Organization to get his degree as an NFT from them. And so that means that he is now franchisable under smart contract regulations. So this is going to be huge for the interoperability for the Web3 accreditation institution that I was telling you that we're creating, because every single institution that has a healthcare system or a test for validating the users of knowledge will have to be able to go through a process of tokenizing that degree so that it's attached to the brand new healthcare system. And so that's where we come in to make sure that they have that tokenization system where your degree can be turned into an NFT as long as you play the validating party that tells us these basic things about the user: name, age, and obviously their birth date, and more importantly, their location of where they're participating is separate from the main data, which is what we want third parties to do. Not give us everything, just names, full names, right? Legal names. And then more importantly, their age. And with those two items, we can go ahead and verify them through our public API. And that will allow us to then start integrating back into our ecosystem through Codex. But can you kind of see where this is leading?
Yeah. I'm just imagining the flow charts as you, who's going to be sitting there.
Well, that's why you haven't heard from me. Because we had to put the development team on board, and they've taken the time to really work with the crazy self like mine and everything that we're doing, which is why it's so important that clarity was brought up before we go forward. You know, Harley has been able to bust down the walls of any limitations to make sure this could come to fruition for his kids, for the rest of every single other person in the world. And so when I see actions like that, it's a reminder that we could do more, but it took those three and the fourth beautiful magnesium Magdalene female energy that needed to come in and give us that. You gave us your attention in the time that we needed it the most. And so this group can now go forward, and you yourself can now guarantee that you will always be heard as we go forward with protecting the healthcare system. And to me, I can't think of any other better group to work with than people that want to guarantee it by holding each other true to it, like what we did today. Audits. It was like integrity audits.
Yeah, it really was. It's great. It's
Thank
great. And I have a painting inspired.
Thank you for keeping that in mind. I really, you know what? Seriously, that to me, I need that. So let me know. We'll make that happen.
I will paint with intention. And this gathering will
yeah, that made me cry.
I may even call it flourishing.
I'm telling you, to me, you have no idea, and it's hard to express, but I can't thank you both enough. Harley, I know you're still there, man. Do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, so essentially, I just want to say I think this meeting was definitely well needed, and it came in divine timing. Like, you couldn't possibly picture better timing than the day before the challenge is about to start. So now we can go into the challenge with a clear vision. We know the path ahead, and I think that was really needed, and it's inspiring.
Man, I'm grateful to you, and I'm super grateful to you as well, Nani. Thank you guys for believing in something that sounded so crazy, but we could do it together. And all of a sudden, Harley, like I said, thank you. If I haven't said it enough, thank you. I know what you've done wasn't easy. And by the way, I got to say this on camera, because here's how everything really took a turn. He had to lose his ID for us to find the right people. And so we keep being redirected. I think it's the XD Crystals message. That's why I know that his project is going to be successful. He's being led by the right energies, and those crystals amplify it. And I'm just grateful that I was able to go ahead and snatch up some. I'm going to have to refill my XD wallet, but I'm going to grab me some more. As I said, I'm a believer in you guys, and I can't thank you enough for believing in me.
You bought 6, didn't you? I had 6 on the screen, and I thought I've got 3, and then I've got 9, and I'll get 6 in the middle. the numbers. And then I'm looking at 6, and all of a sudden 6 has been sold. And I'm thinking, who's gone for the multiples of 3? I bet it's Johnny. There you are.
Let me go check. I don't know, but I'm gonna go ahead and I think
Because one's gone, and then I'm like, well, who didn't buy 2, 3, 4, 5? Someone's just gone and bought 6, and I was looking at 6.
it might have been me actually. Then, if that's the case, I forgot. I was buying as many as I could, but then I didn't realize that the tiers were different. I was like, yo, I'm getting all of these, but it's the same tier. Okay, I got to go to the other tiers, so I got to refill my wallet.
I was always, I thought, should I put an offer in? I was like, no.
No, hey, you let me know and making sure. No, you tell me what number you want. We'll make sure you get it, and then I'll just go ahead. But this is so cool to hear, and that's what I'm saying. Like, to me, it means the same. Like, there's these things about I have to have that number or that series or that image, and it just calls to you. So it goes beyond the art, beyond the money. It just goes more into the he spoke to me at a different way, or she spoke to me in a different way, and I never want to make sure, or I want to be connected to it in some way. And that's what's the power of this. So thank you guys. And like I said, bring all your stuff into my attention. And I'm all over the place because I'm trying to keep this under control. But I think that this is where I think everybody should know Harley is the man that everybody should go ahead. And if you really want to make sure a message gets through to either Harley or Tyler or myself, he's definitely one that I think manages attention very well as well. So Harley, thank you for everything that you do. Nani, I hope that we can catch you again next 11, or let's say does that sound fair? 10, 11, and then we can do 11, 11.
10, 11, 11, 11. Yeah. Yep.
Is that okay, Harley?
We have our months and days back the other front. I'm just catching up. I'm right.
My mistake.
Yep.
Think 12. Think 12 for you, right?
Next month.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
And not tomorrow morning. Not tomorrow morning.
No.
Yes.
That it'll just be our frequent BYOB, the group of people that are in that Telegram group, which is the 99 new members. I'm finishing the website for that so that we can explain everything. It was just kind of being hindered a little bit by you guys in this discussion not being had yet. So thank you for making it possible to take the next step. I look forward to being able to see you guys' projects grow, and more importantly, can't wait to see what kind of lives we change together. Enjoy the day, guys.
Yeah, one more thing. I just want to say thank you both for your support and seeing my vision. And I'm definitely going to support both of your projects and get a Codex NFT, and whatever you decide, I definitely want to be a part of your community as well, Noni.
Thank you, man. You're really an inspiration. And likewise, Nani. I hope the rest of your night goes well, guys. Take care.